Welcome or welcome back to my channel. This is Aso Tarot, and in today's pick a card reading, we are going to be looking at the next time you see the person that you are thinking of. So this doesn't necessarily have to be a romantic interest, although you can certainly ask about that. This can be for friends, family, anyone that you're asking about. So don't feel like it's only limited to that, but do be aware that people do come to these with the intention of looking at someone they're romantically interested in, so those messages will come through, and just be aware that if you're not asking about that, you may need to filter those messages out and only take what resonates. But we're going to go super in depth into your meeting. We're also going to do an energy check at the beginning to make sure that you guys have the right pile and you're asking about the right person, or the person you want to hear about. And then if this reading resonates, there will be an extended where we're going to look at what is going to happen after this meeting. So we're going to see how this person is going to be thinking and feeling about you after this meeting. And we'll also see the energy and the potential of the connection, where it seems like it is heading. And we'll finish off with some final advice, but don't worry, we'll have plenty of advice in the free reading. And when it comes to the tarot portion of this reading, we're going to look at when, where, how this meeting will happen, positive energy surrounding the meeting, what you should be aware of before it happens, if there's any factors outside of your control you should be aware of, and what the potential outcome is. So we have 4 different piles or cards with 4 different stones for you to choose from. So starting with pile 1 or card 1, we have this pink Aragonite cloud. And then for pile 2 or card 2, we have this Aqua Aura Quartz stone. And then for pile 3 or card 3, I'm so used to saying pile, we have this Opalite butterfly. And then finally for card 4, or heck, pile 4, we have this rose quartz sun. So go ahead and pause the video if you need to decide which pile you feel most drawn to. It's absolutely okay to be drawn to more than one. You could be asking about different people, you could be asking about the same person, or maybe there's potentially different ways that this meeting could happen, or different energies that y'all could be in. Like I said, once you pick your pile or piles, you can scroll down to the description box or the comment section, where I will have all the timestamps listed, and the extended will be listed there as well if you are interested in that. But I think that's all I have for you guys. So once you have picked your pile, go ahead and find your timestamp, and I will meet you in your reading. Hi there, pile 1. Welcome to your reading, and thank you so much for being here. If you guys chose the pink Aragonite cloud, I don't know why I keep saying, I wanted to say blue Aragonite again. This is blue Aragonite, so maybe that's something, a stone you might want to look into, or just Aragonite in general. This is going to be your reading. So this card is going to represent the overall energy of your meeting. I also have a card to represent the energy between the two of you, but I want to start with an energy check first to make sure that this is the right pile for you. So we are going to do things in the typical person A, person B format. So we're just going to start by looking at you and this person overall. If you find yourself in both energies, that's absolutely okay. It's just a possibility that you and this person are mirroring, or that you just have similar qualities. There are limitations to this in the sense that, you know, people are multidimensional and we're only hitting on certain things. But if you don't see yourself, after we go through, there's 3 parts to the energy check. So if you can't find yourself after that, I would say this is probably not your reading. But to go ahead and start, for person A, we have the Hierophant, and for person B, we have Judgment. So this is definitely an interesting energy in the sense that I feel like both people in this connection have been worn down by life a little bit, especially if not like the recent past, in the time period leading up to this meeting. We do have Taurus energy with the Hierophant, and with Judgment, we have, Judgment is ruled by Pluto. So this person could have a lot of Pluto placements or be very Plutonian in nature. Or they could be someone going through a pretty intense transformation. But starting with the Hierophant person, I definitely think that this is somebody more traditional. They could be a teacher or a leader in some way. They could also be older in age than the Judgment person. They could also be somebody, though, that is bogged down by tradition, or maybe was born into some sort of tradition that they don't necessarily resonate with on a soul level, but it's been kind of a process to learn who they are and figure out what they truly want out of life. I feel like the Hierophant person is somebody pretty dependable, and kind of what you see is what you're gonna get, or they're not going to be somebody that's like whispering sweet nothings in your ear and when they're not being truthful. Like the Hierophant person may be somebody who holds back on communication if they're unsure of what to say, or if they're unsure if what they have to say is productive or helpful. I do feel like the Hierophant person is a wise fool in the sense that they have a lot of wisdom, but they still make a lot of careless mistakes, and at times maybe get too invested in their own, like, they almost get like too confident in themselves, and it becomes hubris. And then at times the universe has to kind of like take their hubris glasses off and be like, nah, you were actually not correct here. Your assessment wasn't correct here. And it's those times that are incredibly impactful. Like, this is somebody who's not going to deny the universe teaching them lessons. Like, they're actually going to, like, when their hubris glasses get ripped off, they're going to be like, oh wow, like I was being unfair, or I wasn't seeing this situation accurately, and they learn and grow from it. I do think that a lot of people look up to this person, at least in their general area. I do think that this person has some sort of burden around family. Maybe they are a single parent for some of you. For others, this could be your parent, or somebody that is a parental figure. They could be a mentor of some kind, or it could be their job to mentor others. This person could also be deeply religious, or they could have zero religious affiliations but have a very regimented way of life. Like, this is somebody where their schedule is so concrete that, you know, like if it's 6 p.m., you're like, oh, they're definitely having dinner right now. Or if it's 8 a.m., you're like, oh, they're definitely at the gym right now. Like, I feel like this person really thrives with feeling in control, and thrives with having a consistent schedule. I do think that they have trouble getting out of their own routines, and I think that they can be very stubborn, but this is somebody who a lot of people respect, and I think that this is somebody who gives people respect even when they don't get the same respect in return. Like, they might, if somebody disrespects them, they might later be like, oh, that guy was a dick, but like, they're not going to say it to their face, you know. They just take it in stride and turn the other cheek. This is kind of a kill them with kindness kind of person, or kill them with silence. I feel like they just kind of disengage when they're met with any sort of conflict that they're uncomfortable with, or any sort of energies that they don't quite understand. I do think one difficult thing with the Hierophant person is that they may have a hard time understanding perspectives outside of their own if it's not an experience they've personally had. An example of this that I would use is like, when you're like highly sensitive people, for example, you know, when you're a highly sensitive person, things like lights and sensory stimuli can be really intense for that person, whereas somebody else may not even realize, can't even like understand the experience of having lights that are just too bright they hurt your eyes, or the buzzing of fluorescent lights. Like, that's not even something on their radar. It's like, I feel like the Hierophant person, in their case, like, they may have a hard time understanding perspectives if it's not something they've personally dealt with, or personally seen someone close to them deal with. It's like they have to take time to truly understand certain struggles that they're unfamiliar with, and in ways they might be sort of invalidating towards those perspectives, and that might be a source of contention within this connection, because I do feel like the Judgment person has been felt unfairly judged and misunderstood by the Hierophant person. But I think that the Hierophant person really cares about the Judgment person, and vice versa. But I think that the Judgment person has this energy of shutting down, kind of the same way the Hierophant does. Maybe these two are kind of avoidant in certain ways, but I feel like with the Judgment person has much more intense energy, where I feel like the Hierophant is maybe more balanced in their approach and very moderate. I feel like the Judgment person is kind of all over the place. So they're very much all or nothing. They have this energy that is like chaotic good. I would say that's kind of their alignment, either chaotic good or chaotic neutral, depending on the person and who's watching. But I do think that this person has been through some transformation recently, or will have experienced some sort of intense transformation at the time of this meeting or right before this meeting. I feel like the Judgment person will be in this state where, like, I think they're going to be recognizing where maybe the Hierophant person not understanding them wasn't something that they needed to take personally, but was like, in fact, just, I feel like they're seeing the Hierophant in a different light. I feel like the Judgment person at first thought that the Hierophant was better than them and really, really seeked and desired the Hierophant's approval. But I think the Judgment person has been realizing that they don't need the Hierophant's approval. They don't need the Hierophant to truly understand them in order for their perspective to be valid. With the Judgment person being here as well, I do think that this person has been awakening spiritually. And even if it's not in a spiritual sense, I do think that they've been awakening to their truth of who they are. I feel like with this here as well, I feel like the Judgment person maybe has gone through some really difficult experiences that have kind of shook them, but brought them to realizations that they wouldn't have otherwise. I also feel like the Judgment person could use their creativity to express their feelings. They might be the kind of person who feels less comfortable just putting it all out there and would rather, express themselves through music or through art or through their writing or something like that. I feel like the Judgment person is really hard on themselves and really, really critical of themselves. And when they respect and admire a person, I think that they take what that person thinks or feels to heart, and they really care about it. I do feel like the Judgment person as well is really talented in some sort of creative skill or creative ability. They may not use it in a way to support themselves, like it may not be what they do full time, but it could be like their form of meditation, their form of escape. I do think that the Judgment person is also in this place where they're realizing where maybe they projected assumptions onto others that weren't necessarily the truth. I feel like the Judgment person, while they felt these feelings of being misunderstood, they're also realizing that these wounds of being misunderstood were actually highlighting deeper wounds within them around not understanding themselves and kind of wishing they could be different. I think that the Judgment person doesn't really understand the beauty of who they truly are and the beauty of being themselves. I feel like I just heard neurotypical in my head. So the Judgment person could be neurodivergent and the Hierophant person could be neurotypical. They certainly don't have to be, but obviously when you have different, when your brain operates in a different way from another person, it can be kind of hard to understand. I'll just use myself as an example. I'm neurodivergent. And, my mom is neurotypical. So we've had to take a lot of time to truly kind of understand each other's perspectives and understand where the other is coming from, because one thing that could hurt me, won't even be on her radar as something that could, and, vice versa. I mean, not that she would ever do something like that. She loves me and I love her. But the point of it is that sometimes there are just simple misunderstandings that can be created that are maybe blown out of proportion because there's just a lack of understanding and maybe a lack of communication. I do think that these two maybe struggle to be more open and vulnerable. And I do think that maybe the Judgment person has tried to be vulnerable in the past, but it hasn't come out the way that they wanted it to. And then I think that they've just been more hard on themselves because they're like, oh, I can't do anything right. I can't say anything right. And they're not going to understand me anyway, so what does it matter? So I feel like the judgment person kind of has these cycles where they're feeling really good, and then sometimes they're feeling really down in the dumps. Most of the time, they're kind of in the middle where it's like they're doing all right. There's things that they're happy about, and there's other things that are really bringing them down, and it kind of varies day to day. I feel like the judgment person does have to take things day by day just because of the nature of their being. But I think the judgment person is realizing that if they don't understand themselves, and if they're not able to communicate their needs and their desires, they're not going to be able to cultivate deeper connections with others, because they're not going to even be able to communicate their experience or understand what they need. So I think that the judgment person has been through a lot of awakenings. Like, you know, honestly, the one thing that could have helped this judgment person is a diagnosis of some kind that made them aware of why something was happening in their life that they didn't understand before. So I do think that the judgment person is in this process of self-discovery, and I think that they are learning how to be less hard on themselves and learning how to recognize where maybe they've been unfair to themselves and unfair to others, in the sense that they might be writing other people's abilities off to like understand them and commune with them. And so I think that both the Hierophant person and the judgment person have kind of been in these energies of like learning where they're not necessarily seeing things clearly, and recognizing what might need to change, or what changes that they've made will benefit their growth, and what aspects of their current being are not serving them. So let's go ahead now and look at these two energies towards each other during this next meeting. So this is just going to be like the overall energy between the two of you, so how you both will see each other. So for the Hierophant person, we have the bat, and for the judgment person, we have the cheetah. So I actually really like this energy, and that's mainly because I feel like with the Hierophant person, they're going to be in a very open-minded place. I think that the judgment person is going to be very excited to be interacting with the Hierophant person. Maybe it's been a while since these two have seen each other, or maybe it's been a while since these two have been able to sit down and talk authentically. Like maybe there's been other people around, or these two haven't really had the ability to kind of have a one-on-one chat and really like talk things through. So I feel like for the Hierophant person, I think that this next meeting is going to be healing for them, because they're going to be releasing a lot of misconceptions that maybe they've had about this connection and the judgment person in the past. But I also think they're going to be very open-minded towards what the judgment person has to tell them, what the judgment person wants them to know. And I also think that the Hierophant person is already in this process of kind of releasing past pain, releasing past difficulty, and releasing lessons that they've already learned, and don't need to like carry the weight of the struggles that came from those lessons anymore. I definitely feel like the Hierophant person is going to be the less dominant energy in this meeting, because I do feel like the judgment person has a lot that they want to get off their chest, has a lot that they want to talk about. And it's interesting because the Hierophant person is like, in both of these cards, they're facing straight ahead, whereas the judgment person in this card is looking away, and in the cheetah card, they're looking straight at the bat. So I do feel like, we'll look at this in the tarot later, but I do feel like the judgment person will be the dominant energy within this connection during this meeting. I feel like they'll be really excited and will be really motivated to truly explain whatever it is that they need to tell the Hierophant person. I also think that like the excitement will be written all over them, and I think that will warm the Hierophant's heart in a way that I don't think that their heart gets warmed like that very often. I do think that the Hierophant finds the judgment person to be very precious, and I think that the judgment person does get overexcited at times, or just gets very like intense with energy. And so I definitely think that this meeting is going to be intense in energy, in the sense that they're just going to be like very excited to talk to the Hierophant, very thrilled to have this opportunity. And it does seem like there's masculine energy going on in both sides. Air and fire are both masculine energies, and the Cheetah card even talks about like masculine force. So I definitely think that the Judgment person is excited to tell the Hierophant person about what they've been experiencing, what they've realized, and what they've been awakened to. I also think that they're going to be in this energy, the Judgment person, I mean, they're going to be in this energy of not backing down, of not shutting down when the Hierophant person isn't understanding their perspective. I think they're going to be a lot more confident, like they're going to have their words kind of figured out. And I think the Judgment person, you know, might be avoiding the Hierophant person right now, or might be taking space from the Hierophant person. And I think that's because they're trying to gather their bearings. They're trying to gather their thoughts. But I think when this comes together, I think the Hierophant person is really just going to give the Judgment person the time and space to explain themselves and explain what they've been going through and explain what's been going on with them. And then the Cheetah person is really going to be grateful for that, because I think that they don't often get the opportunity to just be really real with people or just be heard out without fear of judgment. And so I definitely think that this is going to be a really healing energy for both of these parties, where I feel like the Hierophant person may typically be the more dominant one in conversation, and they're going to be taking that back seat, and they're going to be kind of taking everything in the sense that they're not going to read things at a surface level. They're going to be really looking at the Judgment person's energy, like what's going on with them. And they're really going to be open-minded and listening to what the Judgment person has to say without feeling defensive or defeated. And I think that this is just going to be really healthy for both of these two, because it definitely seems like the Judgment person has a lot that they want to say, and it will be really, really meaningful to them to have an open ear and an open mind to listen to them from somebody that they respect. So to finish off the energy check portion of this, I want to go ahead and just look at what each of these people are kind of going through in their personal life or just in general at the time of this meeting, because that may influence something. So for the Hierophant person, we have ship. And for the Judgment person, we have book. So I think I'm actually going to move these down a little bit because they don't need to be so. Oh my gosh, by the way, songs that have been playing in my head. I don't know what it's literally called, but the Avril Lavigne song, Why'd You Have to Go and Make Things So Complicated? Also, before I started reading Funky Town by whoever that's by, it's in Shrek 2, so that's what, those are two songs that I'm hearing, if that's significant at all. But I definitely think with the Hierophant person, they're going to be in a much better place than they have been in the past. It's like, it's almost like the winds of life have kind of blown them in a new direction, or blown away like what no longer needs to be there. Oh my gosh, I'm hearing Squidward right now being like, playing with a leaf blower or reef blower. That has got to be the most childish thing. Like, I feel like the Hierophant person is learning to let go a little bit and have more fun and be different. I feel like the Hierophant person is going to be in this place where they're realizing that maybe the way that they were living their life wasn't serving them, and they were actually doing it in an attempt to serve others. Because I do think that the Hierophant person is very giving. I think that they're very service oriented. I think they really care about helping others, but I do think that they almost feel attacked or threatened when their help isn't received well. So that could have been something that overwhelmed them about the Judgment person. Like, they may have felt like they didn't know how to help the Judgment person. And I think partially Spirit is saying, you know, the Judgment person needed to help themselves. But one thing I do want to mention is that we have mirroring 10s here. So I do think that both of these people are going to be finishing out a cycle when this meeting happens. And I think for the Hierophant, it's going to be this fresh start for them, where they're truly starting to understand others better, and they're starting to have more compassion for those that they don't understand, and for those that that have had different journeys than them, because I think the Hierophant person has been going through this process of realizing that just because they were born into some sort of system, or just because they followed a very traditional route, doesn't mean that they always have to live that way, and doesn't mean that that's necessarily the best or right way. It might have been for them, but I think what they realized is that it wasn't what was best for them. And so I think that they have been changing the way that they've been going about life, and as a result, I think that they are releasing a lot of the burdens of the past, and they're allowing themselves to be more open-minded to what the universe has to show them, or what the universe wants them to know. So for the Judgment person, I definitely think that they are feeling held by the universe for the first time in a way that they haven't before. It's like all of these things that they didn't understand about themselves, all these things that made them feel really crappy, or just made them feel like they weren't good enough, or that they couldn't have what they wanted, or that they could never be who they wanted to be, or that they could never achieve what they wanted to achieve. I think they're realizing that their limitations have strengths associated with them, and I think they're finally just starting to understand themselves in a way that they couldn't before. I also think that this Judgment person is going to be able to fill in the blanks for the Hierophant person in areas where they may not have been able to communicate their experience before. I also think that the Judgment person is going to be open about communicating whatever they want, but I think it's going to be up to the Hierophant person to ask the right questions, because I think the Judgment person is going to tell the Hierophant person what they need to say and what they want the Hierophant person to know, but there may be things on the Hierophant person's mind about the Judgment person that they may be curious about, but I don't think the Judgment person is going to offer them up willy-nilly. I think that the Hierophant person needs to be asking questions, needs to be open and honest about what they're curious about, because I think the Judgment person is willing to communicate whatever they need to say, or willing to, I feel like the Judgment person is an open book in the sense that they're happy to answer any questions, but they're not just going to volunteer something unless somebody asks. So while I do think that the Judgment person has things that they already want to communicate to the Hierophant, if the Hierophant has any uncertainties or doubts or questions left unanswered, it's going to be kind of up to the Hierophant person to ask those questions and get those answers, because the Judgment person is not a mind reader either, and they're just going to be excited about communicating what they've discovered about themselves, what they've discovered through this connection, what they've realized. And I think that what's really comforting for the Judgment person may actually bring some sort of like reading materials for the Hierophant, or like scientific studies or something like that, to kind of help explain their side of things, to explain what they've been dealing with. And I think what's actually really awesome is that not only is the Judgment person feeling like they've cracked some internal codes that they couldn't understand before, but I also think that the Hierophant person is finally going to be able to understand the Judgment person in a way that they could not before, and it's going to make their past actions or their past behavior make a lot more sense. So if this sounds like the energy that you'll be in or are entering, let's go ahead and see what the energy between the two of you will be and how this connection will go. So I'm actually going to put this one on top. So we have Grace. The frequency of Grace supports our smooth adaptation and anticipation of life's currents and changes as we evolve towards a higher version of ourselves on this earthly plane, bringing the divine with the human essence. Yeah, so I think that if there's been any difficulties in the past between these two, I think that those things are really going to be laid to rest. And I think that these two are going to have the opportunities to truly show up and see one another, hear one another, understand one another. And it's like, as these two are maturing, they're both gaining the skills and the abilities to be able to relate to each other and not shut down or run away when things get too overwhelming. So I definitely think that this is actually going to be, while it might be an exciting interaction, I think it's also going to be a pretty calm interaction, a pretty understanding interaction, and I think that it's actually going to be really beneficial, and I think it's going to be a healing meeting for these two. So let's go ahead and see what the overall energy of the meeting is going to be. Oh my gosh, yes, we have Rose Valley. Go forth with a soft and open heart. So we have love, feminine energy, and vulnerability. So this is actually really interesting in the sense that both of these parties are expressing like masculine energies, but I do think that when they come together and when you and this person interact with one another, you're going to be able to be vulnerable with one another in a way you weren't able to before. And I think that's because you both have become aware of where you both have been wrong in the past and where you both have maybe unfairly judged one another or unfairly written one another off. But I definitely think that this connection will be blossoming in the sense that you both will be able to be vulnerable with one another, and you both will be very kind and understanding with one another. You both will allow the other to express and be and communicate, and the other's not going to be reactive. You both are going to be truly listening to one another, and it's not going to feel like you're just talking to each other or you're not feeling heard. Like, this is going to be a really authentic meeting where you both are going to, I think, heal a lot of things from your past, or heal a lot of things that maybe necessarily weren't wounds within you, but heal parts of the connection where maybe you and this person didn't quite understand each other, or just felt misunderstood. Honestly, this is just a really beautiful energy, and I think that as it says here, supports our smooth adaptation to and anticipation of life's currents and changes as we evolve towards a higher version of ourselves on this earthly plane. So it's like you both are evolving into higher versions of yourselves, and as a result, it's like you both have compassion for your past selves and the other's past self and where the other was coming from at the time. I think you both are starting to understand that, like, nuance is important, the intentions behind things are important, and I do think that this next meeting with this person is going to be very successful in the sense that there might be some difficult things to talk about, but you'll kind of realize how individually your experiences have been kind of cracking you both open to learn more about yourselves and to help you both kind of just understand where you're at in life, what you want out of life, things like that. And it will help you both be fully open and honest with one another and be gentle and accepting with one another. So this is really beautiful energy. I definitely think this next meeting will be awesome. So let's go ahead and get into the tarot now. This is the Prism Tarot, if you were wondering. I believe it's made by the 8th house. But we are going to look at a bunch of different details here. Oh my gosh, that was a crazy shuffle. I hope that nothing fell. Okay, no, we're good. And I did also just want to say while we're here, if this reading continues to resonate, we are, after the free reading, we're going to go into the tarot and we'll finish off with advice. And then if you want to check out the extended, if this is resonating, we're going to look at how this person is going to be thinking and feeling after this meeting and the energy and potential of this connection after this meeting, so where it's headed. And we'll get a lot more advice because there's just so many good advice decks that I have, and Spirit really knows how to come through. So, okay. So we're going to start by seeing when, where, how this meeting will happen. I'm kind of leaving it open in the sense that I'm just going to let Spirit give us the information it wants to give. Maybe some of it is not necessary or some of it you're not meant to know. So we'll just see what can pile 1 know at this time about this next meeting in terms of how it is coming together, please, Spirit. Pile 1's next meeting with this person. How is it coming together? Okay, so we have the Chariot with momentum. So this is really interesting because, first of all, I was hearing stubborn. So maybe both of these two might be too stubborn at first to like reach out to the other or get in contact with the other. But I almost feel like this energy is going to gain momentum naturally. I do feel like the Hierophant may be in the same location as the Judgment person, or the Hierophant will like for example, that like these two could be maybe a couple hours away from each other or something like that. And the Hierophant might be like, oh, hey, by the way, I'm going to be here at this time. Or, this may be something that happens naturally. One of you may reach out to the other and say, hey, I really want to talk. I really want to work things out, or whatever it may be. This energy could happen naturally. Like one of you, like you could just start talking and then it could lead to setting up a meeting. Another thing that I'm seeing, the Chariot does represent Cancer energy. So this could happen during Cancer season. This is a timeless reading whenever you see this. So Cancer season is like the very end of June to mid to late July. Doesn't have to be, but one thing that I'm seeing with this as well is it does seem like one person will either be like directly reaching out to the other and setting it up, or it's like the universe will be picking, like bringing more energy to the both of you, in the sense that like you're going to be thinking about one another more often. You're going to be like, you're going to be getting like syncs and signs about the other, and it's like you're kind of just going to be naturally brought together, and it'll happen that way. It's kind of like the universe isn't going to bring this connection together, though. One message I'm hearing, the universe isn't going to bring this meeting, is not going to set this meeting up until both parties are in a balanced state. So like if one of you is really struggling, I don't think the universe might actually block your ability to like have a meeting with this person or have an authentic meeting with this person, because they want you both to be in a healthier place and have a better understanding of where you're at. But it is quite possible that the Hierophant could be moving to where the Judgment person is, especially with like ship here, new direction, change, and with momentum here. But this may be something that just happens naturally as well. I definitely think it's going to depend, but I do think it's quite possible that somebody could be like driving or traveling to meet the other. But I think it just depends on the connection. So let's go ahead and see now what positive energy is surrounding this meeting that you guys need to know about. So what is the positive energy surrounding this meeting, Spirit? Oh, hell yes. We have the Six of Wands, victory. So I think the Spirit is saying you both are going to be feeling very confident in this meeting. Like maybe you both, like you might honestly have like a heart-to-heart with this person online, like through text or something like that, before you meet up with this person in real life. So you may be already like feeling confident about this connection, but I also think that both of you want a positive outcome here. Both of you want to see success within this connection. Both of you want this meeting to go well. And so I think that the positive energy surrounded is like, I'm thinking of the Moonology card. I think it's new moon in Sagittarius, but it says luck is on your side. And I think that like both of you want things to go well. Both of you have good energy and good intentions coming into it. And so I think that the positive energy surrounding it is like you both are just finally feeling confident enough to work towards success. Like you're not going to be working against each other. You're going to be working with each other. And I think that's really beautiful. So what do you need to be aware of? What should pile 1 be aware of before this meeting happens? Okay, generosity. So we have another 6. I think one thing that you need to be aware of is that if you're not feeling called to reach out to this person, you don't need to. It does kind of seem like the other person may reach out. But I do also think Spirit is saying, you know, be cognizant of what you're giving. Make sure you're not giving too much or you're not giving enough. You know, make sure that the balance here is like, make sure there's an equal give and take. I think that's really what Spirit wants you to know. But I also think that Spirit wants you to explore how comfortable you are with receiving, because it might be possible that this opportunity is trying to come in, but you still have wounds around receiving things. Like, you might be good at giving to others, but you may really struggle with receiving. And so the universe might be trying to help you heal that, so that when you are able to receive good energy, when you are able to receive blessings from the universe, you're not doubting that you're worthy of them. You're not doubting that you deserve them or that they're a fluke. Like, it's almost like you just need to kind of fully recognize, like, where maybe you can be more generous with others, and where maybe you can allow others to be generous with yourself. But I do think both of you are going to be in this energy of really wanting to give to the other. And so I do think it's going to be pretty harmonious in that sense. But I do think Spirit is asking you to be aware that if one of you is not being very receptive, then maybe it's not the time to have this meeting. But let's see. Are there any factors outside of pile 1 and their person's control that they need to be aware of, please, Spirit? Okay, yeah, so 9 of Swords. So definitely I think both of you will be in your heads either before this meeting or during this meeting. So I definitely think it's important to be careful that you're not jumping to conclusions, especially before this meeting happens. You might write this person off or write this situation off before it's really had the time to even come to fruition. So I definitely think that Spirit is encouraging you to really work on mindfulness, to work on working with your thoughts and reminding yourself of the fact that your thoughts are not you, and to also like help you be aware of when maybe your brain is running away from you, and when maybe your brain is creating more stress and more fear than is necessary. So whatever tactics that you have to help cope with anxious thoughts and anxious feelings, I would highly suggest whenever you feel anxious about this connection or anxious about your future in general, to utilize those solutions. And if you don't, if you don't have any solutions to your anxiety, I would highly encourage you to start seeking some out or start trying some solutions, because it really doesn't help you to just sit in fear. Like, that's not really gonna help you anywhere. But I do think that both of you will be in your heads before this connection, or before this meeting. And I think that Spirit is asking you both to remember that you may be conflating things in your head a little bit too much. Like, you may be kind of running away with yourself and creating more fear than is necessary. Like, I've used this example before, but you know how, like, when you're gonna get in trouble, like from like a coach or at school or something like that, and so like you think about it all night and you like stress and you worry about it, or even like at work or something like that. And then you get there and then it's like a chill conversation. You both come to an agreement and you move on like it's nothing. And then you're like, wow, I was so stressed out for no reason. Like, I do think that Spirit is saying that understandably you both are going to be a little on edge and may have some fears going in, but that those fears are just, part of being human and part of your own insecurities kind of coming through. So they kind of just want to remind you that your anxiety and your fear is not your intuition. And I'll tell you this, intuition whispers, anxiety screams. So anything that is an intuitive nudge is not going to be something that's like super in your face. What I will also say is that there is a difference between intuition and paranoia. So it is important to note, intuition is very simple, it's clear, it's direct, whereas paranoia would stress you out, give you more anxiety, create more fear, and Spirit doesn't want you to be in a fearful state. So whatever you can do to kind of help with that, I think Spirit is highly encouraging. So I want to see now, Spirit, what is the potential outcome for this connection? How will both parties be feeling about this at the end of this meeting? Wow, okay. So we have the King of Swords and the Queen of Pentacles. So I think that you both are going to come out of this meeting feeling a lot more confident than you once were. Okay, yeah, so I don't think that after this meeting, after this meeting, I do not think that this will be the last meeting that you have. I think you will probably set up time for another meeting or make some sort of commitment to one another. I don't mean like a commitment of like, okay, yeah, we're gonna do this at this time. Like you might set up a different time or a different place. If this has anything to do with business, I do think that you both are going to be like drafting plans and getting things ready. But what I think is really beautiful is that I think both of you are going to be feeling supported and held after this meeting. I also think that your mentality is going to be a lot healthier about yourselves and about one another after this meeting. I think you both are going to be seeing a lot more clearly. I think that because you both are going to be so open and honest during this meeting, it will help you both see where the other is coming from. And I think that you both are going to be very realistic about what is needed and what you both are capable of doing. I feel like you both are going to be in this very grounded, realistic place where you both are kind of happy with the outcome of this meeting, and you're not like, I'm gonna throw myself under the bus, you're not being like a Pisces Venus about it and like getting into these like delusional fantasies about what's gonna happen next. Like, you know, no offense, shout out to my Pisces Venuses, like I'm Pisces placements in general, like it's a struggle out here sometimes, but you know, I think that you both are going to have really practical expectations of one another. I think that you both are going to be very impressed at your abilities to communicate with one another and at both of your abilities to be honest with one another. And so I think after this meeting, you both are going to be feeling very nurtured in the sense that like you both got out what you wanted to say. You both had the kind of conversations that you wanted to have. You guys may actually do something like this meeting. You may actually like do something that involves movement. Like I just saw horseback riding, which I think that might be a little bit extreme for a lot of y'all, but maybe for some of you it could be that, or you could be, you know, going on a road trip, or like, you know, just something with boats maybe. Oh yeah, well there's a ship. But you could even just be like going for a walk. I do feel like movement will be helpful in this connection, in the sense that like, you know, when you've got a lot of like pent up energy, it is good to like kind of move and kind of get that energy out. So I do think the outcome of this meeting is going to be something that you both are very happy with. I think you're going to be thinking clearly about this situation. You're not going to be seeing any illusions or feeding into any delusions. I think you both are going to feel a lot more comfortable to be upfront and honest with one another. And I think that you both are also going to have realistic expectations of the other, realistic expectations of where this connection is going, or depending on what type of connection it is, what you both want to happen. And I think after this, you both are just going to feel very, very solid, very grounded, and very safe in what you have created. And I think that this is just really awesome, because if there have been any struggles or misunderstandings within this communication, within this connection, I think you both are going to be working through those in this next meeting, and you both are going to be a lot happier with yourselves and with this connection than you were before you had this meeting. So I am going to go ahead and move into advice now. So we've got quite a few pieces of advice here. So to start, we have you're appreciated. Your family and friends appreciate you more than you know. Yeah, so if there's maybe anyone in your life that you've been missing or that you want to reach out to, it might be good to just be around them and see if there's any helpful advice that they can give you, or helpful reminders that they can give you. I find that when you're around people that you just feel safe and trust, you learn a lot about yourself through the people around you, and they can give you insight about yourself that you wouldn't see before. But we also have love. I commit to the practice of seeing the good in all things. Yeah, I think Spirit is really encouraging you to understand love in the sense of like unconditional self-love. Like, how can you see the love of the universe in everything, between leaves falling off the trees and mowing the grass? I don't know why Spirit's giving me lawn analogies, but I think that Spirit is asking you to see where love is in your life, and where you already have love, and what makes you feel that love, and what you love about life. Like, just having more love in your life in general, I think could be very helpful for you. And I don't mean that in a romantic sense. I mean that in a general sense. Like, what movies do you love? What books do you love? What foods do you love? Like, I think Spirit's just encouraging you to do more things that you love, period. We also have build strength. So I definitely think that Spirit is encouraging you to come up with some sort of exercise routine, or come up with some sort, or maybe it's spiritual strength as well, to maybe focus more on your spiritual endurance for some of you. I noticed the third eye is open. So, one thing that I am hearing is that if you're trying to get intuitive information about anything and you're struggling because you're in your head and you're not really sure, I think Spirit is encouraging you to either go for a walk or get some exercise, because that will help you kind of get that anxious energy out and be able to receive information more. We also have surrender to effortlessness. Stop pushing so hard. The art of living means going with the flow instead of trying to force the river. And finally, we have I cherish every cell in my body. So yeah, I think Spirit's really just encouraging you to focus on your self-love, focus on understanding yourself, focus on your routines, what's working, what isn't, how can you find love in your everyday life, and how can you simplify your routine to where it's not something that's grueling. I also think Spirit is asking you to look at your body not in an aesthetic sense, but to look at it in a functional sense and appreciate, you know, how hard every single cell in your body is working to nurture and nourish you. I think one thing that Spirit wants you to maybe focus on is body positivity, in the sense of, like, you know, I love my hands because they help me create things. I love my eyes because they help me see. I love my mouth because it helps me talk and taste. Like, you know what I mean? Like, instead of looking at what you like because you think it looks good, like, appreciating your body for its functions rather than its form. But pile 1, that is all I have for the free reading. So if you want to check out the extended, that will be linked below, but if you're leaving me here, that's absolutely okay. Thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you so much for watching my ads. That is the simplest and easiest way to support me. But like I said, if you'd like to support me in other ways, you can check out the extended, you can like this video, you can comment down below, let me know how it resonates. You can subscribe if you haven't already, and click that little notification bell to be part of my notification squad. If you want me to respond or see your comment, you are much more likely to have me see it. If you have my notifications turned on, I'm much more likely to see it if I have notifications turned on. I also have social media, which is linked below, though do be aware there are tons of scammers impersonating me on Instagram right now. I do not offer personal readings, and anyone claiming to be me offering you a personal reading in your DMs is a scammer. They are not me. If it's not linked below, it's not mine. All my social media is linked below. Anything else is not me. And then I have merch, and I think that's it. So thank you guys so much for letting me read your cards and for letting me be a part of your energy. I really hope that this resonated, and I hope you all have a wonderful day or night whenever it is that you're watching this video, and I hope you'll come back and see me again soon. Bye. Hi there, pile 3. I had to change my sweatshirt because I got teriyaki sauce on it. If you guys chose the Aqua Aura Quartz and this second card, this is going to be your reading. So what we are going to do is I'm going to leave this card here. This is going to represent the overall energy of your first or next meeting, as well as this card, which will represent the energy going on between the two of you. I think I'm going to pull a little switcheroo there. But first, to make sure this is your reading, I am going to go ahead and look at both you and this person in a person A, person B format. It's absolutely okay if you see elements of yourself in both. That often is just indicative of mirroring. But if you can't find yourself, there's going to be 3 layers. So if you can't find yourself in any of the layers, or in any of the energies, then this is probably not your pile. So to go ahead and start with the overall energies of both of you, we have the Magician and we have Strength. So with the Magician, I can't remember if the Magician is ruled by anything. This could honestly be any sign because the Magician wields like all elements. including spirit. But with strength, we do have Leo energy. I could kind of see the magician being like cardinal energy. The cardinal energies are Capricorn, Cancer, Libra, and Aries. But they certainly don't have to be. What I can say just right off the bat is these are like heavy energies to come out. Not heavy in a bad way, but heavy in like strong energies. Starting with the magician here, I do think that people underestimate this person, but they are so freaking impressive. They are doing life their own way, and they are making it work. Like, in the words of Tim Gunn, they are making it work. And I really think that the magician is marching to the beat of their own drum, living life on their own accord, and they're really just focusing on not only cultivating a deeper connection with themselves, but also learning how to use the connection that they cultivate with themselves to create a better environment external to them, and to also just be a better person in general. One thing that I noticed as well is that both of these figures have infinity signs on top of their crowns. So I definitely think that there is some sort of deeper soul tie here, some sort of soul connection here. It does really seem like between the two of you, there's a lot of intense energy. And maybe that is between the two of you. I noticed like my heart rate like spiked as soon as I started this reading. But I definitely think that the magician person is honestly just like doing amazing things, creating amazing opportunities for themselves, like master manifester without even trying. Like, I feel like this magician person literally speaks things into existence without even trying. Like, they might just be like, oh, I really hope that I can find something at the store today, whatever it may be. And then they find like the exact thing at like a thrift store or something. This magician person is really learning how to be well-rounded and how to be balanced. I also think they're a really excellent communicator when they want to be. I think sometimes they can get overwhelmed, and I do think that the magician person may suffer from some sort of mental struggles that at times inhibit their ability to see clearly, to be able to see their own power. But that's only temporary. It's always something that ends up like fading. And mental illness can come in waves. So I feel like once those waves pass, they're able to see clearly again, and they just get right back to where they're going. It's almost like the universe intentionally slows them down, because like it's almost like they could be too powerful if they weren't careful. And I do think that if the magician is on the younger side, it is quite possible that the universe is slowing them down so that they don't get so caught up in what they're doing that they make a decision that they may later regret, or that they may burn themselves out too quickly. I do think, though, that they are learning how to take a more tempered approach. I think they are also learning how to step outside of their ego and look at things very realistically, instead of looking at situations and outcomes as how it can benefit them. I feel like this magician person is really thinking about everyone, the highest good of all. I also think that they are starting to stand in their power and starting to learn what it means to be empowered. I think that the magician person has experience with being, pardon my French, but shat on. Speaking of shots, cats, is cat in French le or la? Is that feminine or masculine? Le chat or la chat? I don't know. I haven't taken French since like 9th grade, so give me a break. But I definitely think that the magician, while they may have a lot of desire for the strength person, or just for things to happen in particular ways, they know how to let go of their manifestations in a way where they're direct with the universe. They know what they want, and if they don't know what they want, they're not going to ask for something until they do. I do think that the magician has the ability to be very direct, but if they're not careful, they can be manipulative without even trying. And I think that's just goes to show their own power of will. What's that song that's like 10% something, 15% this? I don't know. It's like it's a very manly song. I feel very much in my masculine energy whenever I listen to it. Like 15% skill and like something else about the power of will, like whatever that song is. Comment down below if you know it, because it does seem like it's a very popular song, and I feel like a grandma for not knowing it. But I do think that the magician is somebody who maybe hasn't always seen their power, but I think other people always have, and have like I said, shat on the magician because they were intimidated by their power. And I feel like the magician didn't understand that, and because they couldn't see their own power themselves, and so they may have really taken a lot of things to heart that weren't necessarily ever really truths. But I think the magician is overcoming a lot of that wounding. I think that they're learning that they don't have to be bound to what other people think of them. And I also think that the magician person is in this place now where they're really figuring out how to find a healthy balance in their life, and what is realistic in terms of manifestation, and what is like broad long-term goals that they need to work at. What are things that they can get effortlessly, and what are things that they maybe need to work on for a longer amount of time. The magician is incredibly intelligent, and I think that a lot of this intelligence is not like, I mean, it could be physical, like literal brain intelligence, but I think it's more so like cosmic intelligence. Like I wouldn't be surprised if the magician has an automatic connection to spirit, even if they don't realize it. I do feel like they're almost like naturally lucky in a way, or they just have this ability to like know things intuitively that other people don't really understand, and then they doubt the magician, and then the magician proves them right. Like, proves them wrong. I mean, the magician proves themselves right, if that's what I mean. But yeah, they're a force to be reckoned with. And I think that the magician is starting to realize that. I feel like they were a magician that saw themselves as like, not even like the sidekick to the magician, but just like one of the kids in the crowd, like wowed by a magician. You know what I mean? Like they just so underestimate their power, and they're starting to learn to not do that. And now that they are, it's like, whew, man, like everybody else around them better buckle the hell up. So let's talk about the strength person now, because I definitely think that this strength person has come so far, and they're also incredibly impressive. This person could be physically strong or be into athletics, but that's not the traditional interpretation of what strength is, but I did want to mention it. I do feel like this strength actually has to do a lot with this person and their natural instincts. I do feel like the strength person could be maybe quick to anger or quick to jump to conclusions. And I think that they have been learning how to kind of zoom out of their own reactions and look at things more objectively. I also think they're learning how to have a lot more compassion and patience with themselves, because I think that any intense energy that the strength person put on the people around them, it was only a fraction of the intensity that they were putting on themselves. So, you know, other people may have struggled to be around the strength person at times because they may have felt like their expectations were too high of them, or they maybe felt like they couldn't live up to what the strength person wanted, or they just maybe were afraid of the strength person's reactions if they weren't necessarily positive. But I do think that the strength person is learning how to separate the aspects of them, of different aspects of themselves, and not allow one or the other to overrule their overall awareness of themselves. I also think that the strength person has so much compassion for the magician person. I feel like the magician person has a hard time reading the strength person, because I think the strength person is like, now that they know how to kind of curtail their primal instincts, because I do think there's a really deeply primal part to the strength person that can come out. They might be, they might express their love through physical touch, or the magician would probably be more words of affirmation, but the strength person, I definitely see like physical touch and like acts of service, and possibly quality time. I mean, it could be any of them, but like physical touch especially. I definitely think that the strength person has learned to find compassion through suffering. I think that they definitely haven't had it easy in life, and I think that maybe they're realizing where they may have had more so of like a victim mentality, and like that's not something that they should feel shame for or anything like that. Like lots of people have that mentality, and it's so easy to slip into, like even if it's something that you heal from. And I think that the strength person is realizing that like they can't change the circumstances that they were born into, but they can overcome them, and they can not allow those circumstances to define them. And I think that's what's been so powerful for this strength person, is realizing that like their own inner strength and their own power of will is truly stronger than any label, identity, definition that somebody else wants to place on them. I do think that they are still, speaking of my little cough, learning how to speak their truth. I think that they learned it wasn't safe to do that, either in their upbringing or through past connections or just through their life experiences. And I do think that they are wary of smooth talkers, which I think the magician can be. But I think both parties here feel the kind of intensity of the connection here. And I definitely think this is like real recognizing real. Even though both of these people, like their backgrounds might be different, and their experiences might be different, I do think that while the semantics might be different, there are similar themes in their upbringings. And I also think that there are, that there are like life lessons that they've both learned before these two knew each other that they can also relate with as well. There's a real interesting energy here, especially with all of the infinity symbols, that like, I don't know how long these two have known each other, but it's like no matter what, these two always come back around to one another. Like, even if, it's really interesting, like even if the energy between these two is difficult, like both of these people have the ability to transmute difficult energies, heal them, and then like come back around in a stronger position. Like I honestly, I feel bad for the people that want to oppose either of these counterparts, because, and I don't mean counterparts in the sense that they're literally counterparts, I just mean like in this reading they're counterparts. But I feel bad for anyone that is opposing them or trying to do them dirty, because both of these people are just divinely protected in so many ways. And I definitely think there's a deeper spiritual purpose to these two knowing each other. I think there's a deeper spiritual purpose to their lifetimes in this life in general. Like I think there are big, I heard quests, like big quests that these two are going on, big journeys. And so it is quite possible that there may be times where these two aren't able to always be around each other. So maybe that's why you're like wondering, when are we gonna see each other next? But from what I can tell here, these are two incredibly powerful individuals who may not always see their power, but when they stand in their power, they're absolutely unstoppable. I definitely think that the strength person is very skilled. I heard animals, so like they could be a huge animal person, or they could just really love connecting with animals. But I also just think that the strength person is maybe better at working in the material realm or working from their heart space. It could also be that they're good at working in like conditions where they're around people that they love. But I feel like the magician is much more a jack of all trades. Like they can do a little bit of everything. But I think that things that include a deeper spiritual purpose behind them are things that the magician excels at. I think that the magician can't do something unless they feel a deeper conviction and a deeper purpose to do it. Like they can't just half-ass it. Like a perfect example would, I can use myself. Like I can't do a reading if I'm not interested in the topic. Like it's no, like I'm not gonna do it. Like and I can't force myself to read if I'm not feeling it. Like I have to do it because I want to and because it feels good, and I like, you know, the energy's got to be right. Like if it feels off, like I'm not gonna do something. So I definitely think that magician has that energy to them. So now we are going to look at what the energy between these two will be the next time you both meet. So how you both will be showing up with one another. So for the magician, we have the gazelle. And for the strength person, we have the moth. So we have fire energy here, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, and we have air energy here, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. Don't have to have either of these placements, but I do think that these two are coming in with similar but different energies. Honestly, no, they're pretty different. I don't know why I said similar. I think that there's just a similar soul imprint between these two, and so even when their energies are really different, they may feel like the other is on the same page because they just intuitively feel things deeper than emotions. It's like if emotions were a layer here, like they're picking up on what's beneath that. Like they're not necessarily picking up on thoughts and emotions, they're picking up what's deeper than that, like the soul level things. Whereas oftentimes it could be possible that the magician is like seeing that, and the strength person is looking at context clues, looking at what can be seen on the surface, what they can see physically and trust. But it's like a weird thing where it kind of works out and they can intuitively feel each other. But in this case, I guess that's what I meant by similar. But in this case, the magician person does seem like they're going to be a little on edge. And not because they're afraid. I mean, they might be afraid. But I think that they just don't know what they're going to get from the strength person. The gazelle being here, you know, I definitely think that the magician person is going to be a bit hyper vigilant the next time they see the strength person. And I think that's mainly because they're not really sure what version of the strength person they're going to get. I think that the magician person is more evolved in the sense that they've been probably doing their own self-work, doing the work that they need to be the best version of themselves a lot longer than the strength person has. I think that the strength person is still learning more about themselves and is kind of just started getting moving in their own personal development journey. And I think that's at this time. So when this next meeting happens, I do think they will be further along in it, because what I see here with the moth card is that the strength person is awakening to a lot that they couldn't see before. And so it is quite possible that they could be awakening to the deeper soul aspects of this connection, or they could be awakening to things that they couldn't see clearly before because they were just in the dark about it. I definitely think that the magician person is going to be kind of taking everything in and just trying to be very graceful. I feel like the magician person always likes to put their best foot forward, especially in front of the strength person. And I think that the magician might be a little bit in their head, like I said, hyper vigilant. But I think that the magician is going to kind of realize very quickly that they don't have much to worry about, but they're not going to fully trust that, because with the magician is somebody who's very like quick on their feet. So it's like, while they feel like they can settle in and enjoy this experience, they're still going to be on red alert in case something happens. Whereas I feel like the strength person is really just going to be drawn to the magician person in a way that they haven't been before. It's like they're awakening to sensing energy that they were once completely blind to, completely unaware of. And it's like with this Moth card being here, I definitely think the fact that the Strength person is having a more awakened understanding of who they are, an awakened understanding of how like the universe operates, at least in their perspective, and how the universe is operating with them. I definitely feel like they're going to be very interested in picking the Magician's brain. I also think that they're going to be a lot more open-minded, because I think that there are things that this Magician has told the Strength person in the past that may have gone completely over their head, or they may have not believed. And I think that in the time period between those things being said in this next meeting, the universe is going to be showing the Strength person areas like essentially direct evidence for what the Magician was talking about in those circumstances. And they're going to be like, oh my God, like that's what they meant by that. Like, oh, that makes so much sense. And so I definitely think that they're just going to be so drawn to the Magician, like a magnet almost. And I think that they're just going to be so impressed by the Magician. Honestly, the Strength person could have been one of the people that wrote the Magician off. Like when I was hearing the Magician, I heard tiny but mighty. And so like maybe in physical stature, they're not very big, but they have really big energy. Or people could just assume not very much of them, or just kind of just overlook them, and yet they prove people wrong. I definitely think, though, that there is some sensitivity here, partially because of the intensity of this connection. And so I do think that for the Magician person, they are going to kind of be on red alert, in the sense that, like, they don't want to get hurt, or they don't want to say or do something that the Strength person will take the wrong way. So I definitely think that they're going to be very careful with their words, very careful about how they say things. I don't think that they're necessarily going to feel free enough to just put everything out on the table, but I do think that they're going to, at the very least, be open-minded, be patient, and try their best to enjoy the experience. I think that one thing that this Magician is really good at is having, like, two minds going at once. So like they can be present in a conversation, in an experience, and then also thinking about what they need to do, or like, you know, checking in with themselves at the same time. Whereas I think the Strength person is definitely going to be more immersed in the experience. And I think that they're going to be humbled by the fact that they're realizing that there's a lot less they knew than they thought they did. They almost might feel like they've been a bit of a caveman or woman, in the sense that like they've been looking at things too literally, and things that the Magician was trying to communicate to them weren't necessarily getting through, because they weren't open to seeing things in a different light. And so I think that they have a whole new mindset, a whole new way of seeing things. And as a result, I think the conversation between these two is going to flow a lot better. I think while I do think the Magician will be reserved, I think that their nerves will ease as time kind of goes on. But I do definitely think that the Magician has the upper hand in this situation, in the sense that I think the Strength person is kind of going all in the sense that like they're being more vulnerable, and the Magician person is still being a little bit guarded, if I'm being honest. And I think that's because the Strength person, the one thing that the Strength person has healed that I don't think the Magician has, is the Strength person is learning how to protect themselves and how to keep themselves safe. So the Strength person wouldn't even put themselves in a position to interact with the Magician person if they felt like they couldn't be safe around them. And so I think the Magician person, because there's some unpredictability with the Strength person, at least there was in the past, the Magician person is going to be a little bit more guarded and on edge. But I don't think it's going to be something too serious or too concerning. But I do think that the Strength person is going to have a million questions for the Magician, and like just want to know so much about their perspective and how they see things, and they're really going to be listening this time. Like, that's what I'm hearing. They're really going to be listening this time. So to finish off the energy check part, I want to go ahead and see what each person is going to be going through in their life at the time of this meeting. So I kind of see this as like underlying influences or just underlying things behind both people's energy. But for the Magician person, we have the Stork with change, transfer, and reunion. And then with the Strength person, we have Coffin with end and beginning, change, rebirth. So this is really interesting because both cards have change and both cards have something. So for the Magician person, it's reunion, and for the Strength person, it's rebirth. So I definitely think that both of these parties are coming up like evolved versions of themselves during this next meeting. And I think for the Strength person, they're going to be in this place where they've really come out of a lot of struggle and are embracing these new beginnings for themselves, this new way of thinking. Like, even if things haven't changed for them externally, they very much have become a new person internally, and that is completely changing everything else they're experiencing. Meanwhile, I definitely think that the Magician person is going through some sort of like with transfer. I do think that like, I mean, transferring could be literal. Like, they could be transferring to a new job. They could be transferring to a new city. Like, this could be moving. They could also be in a position where they're ready to transfer energy with others again. But I definitely think that no matter where this connection is or what the energy of it is, I think that the Magician person definitely was manifesting some sort of reunion. And the Strength person was definitely hoping for some kind of rebirth. See, the difference between the Magician and the Strength person is that the Strength person doesn't have the same spiritual connection that the Magician person does. They may still have a connection to spirit, everyone can, but I think the Magician is much more deliberate about co-creating with the universe, whereas the Strength person is like speaking their desires into the universe without realizing it. Like, the Strength person is like, oh man, like, I really hope that things come to fruition here. The Magician's like, I'm manifesting a reunion, or I'm manifesting this or that. So it's like the Magician is much more deliberate, and I think that they are very excited for this time period. I think that they're anticipating this meeting before it happens. I think that they are ready for some sort of change within this connection, or change within the energy of their past. And for the Strength person, I think that they're ready for something new. I think that they've closed out a lot of old cycles at this time, and they're becoming a new person. And I think they really want to emulate a similar energy to the Magician. I think that there's a lot of respect between these two, and that's partially why there's a bit of standoffishness. It's like the fear of offending the other, upsetting the other, saying the wrong thing, looking weird, looking awkward, like just anything and everything. Like, it's just, both of these people care so much. And so it's almost like there's even more, there's just more hesitancy in the sense of like letting go and fully being themselves because they care about what the other thinks. But I think that for the Strength person, I think there's going to be a huge emphasis on, I want you to see that I'm not the same person that I was. I want you to see that I've grown, that I've changed. And for the Magician person, I feel like they want to show that same thing, that they have changed, that they have matured, that they have evolved, but also that the way that they feel hasn't changed also. That's a vibe that I'm getting. So let's go ahead and see what the energy between the two of you will be, and then the overall energy of this next meeting. So we have commitment. The frequency of commitment supports our ability to devote ourselves in all aspects of our being and with unwavering belief. So if you're already in a commitment with this person, I think the next time you see them, you're going to just be re-solidifying the fact that you want to maintain this commitment, or that you want to ascend the level of commitment here. I definitely think that if there have been challenges like with changes and things like that, I think your next meeting is only going to further affirm that this commitment is something that you both want. I think that if you are friends with this person, like platonic friends, then I think that you both are committed to making this friendship work. I think no matter what, there's a commitment in the sense that like you both are showing up for one another, you both care about one another, you both care about what is happening with the other, and you both want to be a part of each other's lives. Now, if you're romantic interest, I definitely think that the topic of commitment, or the possibility of commitment, or potentially pursuing a deeper level of commitment is something that will be talked about here, something that will be communicated. But I also think that with this commitment card being here, I feel like you both are just going to be incredibly present with one another. You're not going to be on your phones. You're not going to be worried about what else is going on. I mean, sure, the magician's going to, in half of their mind, they're going to be like, oh man, I hope I don't stink, or like, I hope my hair looks okay, or like whatever, you know, but both these parties are showing up. I feel like the strength person is just going to be in awe of the magician, because they saw the magician as powerful before, but like when they come back, they're just going to be like, what? Like, what happened like while I was gone, or what happened like while this was happening? But let's go ahead and see what the overall energy of your next meeting is going to be. So we have portal, a new door is opening, beginnings, opportunities, adventures. Yeah, so this is either a beautiful beginning for the two of you, or a beautiful new beginning. You both, this next meeting is going to be an opportunity for you both to open another door into a new timeline, in the sense that like the energy between you is changing in a positive way, where you're learning new experiences and you're trying something different. And I think what's really beautiful about this is that you both are in full agreement with this, and there's no fear, uncertainty, doubt. You both really like are going to be certain about this once this meeting comes. And it's like you both really are ready for change. It's like you've learned all you needed, had the experiences that you needed before this meeting, and now it's like, okay, you both are ready for the next step, you both are ready for the next chapter, whatever that is for you. But I think that you both, the universe is almost like opening the door for you, and it's kind of just up to you guys to choose to walk through it. But I definitely think that you will be, because I think that you both are entertaining enough for one another. You both really love each other's presence. You could literally love each other. So I definitely think that this meeting is going to be very positive, and the start of something new. So let's go ahead and get into the tarot now. For you guys, I'm going to be using the Queen Alice Tarot. But I did want to say that if this reading is resonating and you enjoy it, there will be an extended where we are going to look at how your person is going to be thinking and feeling after this meeting. And we will also look at the energy and potential of this connection after this meeting, so where it's heading and things like that. And then we'll get channeled messages from spirit and lots of advice. But in this tarot portion, we are going to see how this meeting is going to happen, positive energy surrounding this meeting, what you should be aware of before it happens, any energetic factors outside of your control, and then the potential outcome of this meeting. So these one more good shuffle. Okay. So the first thing we're going to ask about is like what you need to know about this meeting, when, where, how. Spirit might be kind of hush hush on this, so I'm just kind of allowing whatever they're willing to let you know. So Spirit, when, okay. Okay, so I definitely think that somebody is going to reach out and make that create the opportunity. It is possible that the universe could set up this opportunity, but I think one of you is going to reach out to the other, or like for example, if you're already together, it's going to be like, hey, do you want to meet up? Or like, you know, if this is like long distance, like, hey, let's plan for our next meeting, or let's, like, I definitely think that there's going to be a plan to see each other. I think one of you is going to instigate it. I think the other is going to be into it. I do think that there is some challenge here, not like difficult challenges, but just like logistical things, like schedules lining up. Like I heard visas, or like, what is it? The window of opportunity, like it may take a while for this opportunity to come because like maybe one of you is ready and the other isn't, or maybe it'll take a while for certain things outside of your control to come together. But when I see this Ace of Pentacles here, I really see this as someone, you know, kind of instigating this offer to meet up or this plan to meet up, and both of you either working together to finalize this plan or the other agreeing and setting that plan. Might take a little bit of time for the universe to kind of align things in order to have this opportunity, because one thing I noticed is that we have two like doorways, and this one is a lot smaller and further away, so it may take a little bit of time for this opportunity to materialize, but the universe is definitely saying like you'll know when it'll happen, like, and if you're the one meant to act on it, you'll feel compelled to, and if you're the one meant to receive, you got nothing to worry about. You'll know that's your role. So let's see the positive energy surrounding the meeting. Okay, we have the Knight of Cups. So if this is just a friend, I'm going to say, are you sure? Because there's definitely a lot of romantic energy here. The Knight of Cups is obviously a very romantic card. And I think that both of you have very romantic feelings for one another, or you have deeper feelings for one another. If you're not with this person or dating this person, I definitely think that, oh my gosh, there's gonna be blushing, there's gonna be hearts pounding, there's gonna be nerves. You might like see this person for coffee or tea or something like that, or you might drink too much caffeine before this meeting to like amp yourself up. And it might result in you being very jittery and nervous, or it might feel like you drank caffeine even though you didn't drink anything. But I definitely think that the positive energy surrounding this connection is your feelings for one another. I think that the strength of your feelings has only gotten stronger. And I think that by the time that this meeting comes around, you guys are really going to be feeling it. You guys are really going to be ready. And like, it's going to be like, okay, it's time. Like, let's go. I'm ready. So, okay, what should pile 2 be aware of about this meeting before it happens? Is there anything they need to know? Okay, the 2 of Swords. So one thing that Spirit is saying is that it's okay not to know how or when the situation is going to resolve itself. Like, especially if you're long distance with this person, or you're not currently communicating with this person or something like that. I think Spirit is saying it's okay not to know, but don't think yourself into a tizzy. Like overthinking, I think could be a little bit problematic here, in the sense that you might work yourself up for no reason. You might get yourself worried and waste energy unnecessarily. I think the biggest thing to know is that it's okay not to know, and to trust that when it's time for you to know what to do, the universe will give you that nudge. I also think that Spirit is asking you to not think too hard logically about this situation, because I do think that this is a situation that defies logic in a lot of ways. So I think the best thing that you can do for yourself is try not to be too in your head, and practice not being in your head. Like when you recognize you getting into your head, that's when you really want to take a step back and be like, okay, I'm in my head. What can I do to relieve this energy? And then whatever you do to do that, I would do that. Things that you can do, for example, are... Sorry, I'm burping. Never force down your burps. They get out negative energy. But like things you can do, for example, are journaling. You can exercise. You can do yoga. You can meditate. You can take a bath. You can take a walk. You can hang out with animals. Like there's so many different things you can do. Like, and if you don't know what will help you, then it's time to start trying things, because trying things is better than doing nothing about it. Am I right? So let's see if there are any factors about this meeting outside of your control that Spirit wants you to be aware of. Okay, we have 2. Okay, so we have the Ten of Swords and the Five of Pentacles. So I think one factor of this connection that's outside of your control is your past. Whatever has happened in this situation or whatever has happened here, I feel like your wounds, especially from your past, are things that you both really can't control here. I also think there's a deep sense of missing one another and just feeling like maybe you didn't appreciate certain things until it was too late. And I think that Spirit is really saying, like, you can't be angry at these endings. You can't be angry at these changes. You can't change the past, because really a lot of what this has to me is like past energy. But with the Five of Pentacles here, it is quite possible you could be missing each other really deeply and desiring and yearning for each other, especially if you are with this person and you're not in the same location right now. So I think in terms of that, it's like the negative feelings associated with this connection are kind of outside of your control, but that doesn't mean they can't be healed. I think the worst is over here. So like if you've had difficulties with this person or you've had a difficult past with them, I think that Spirit's really saying, like, you can't change the past, but you can open a new door and close another. Because the Ten of Swords is all about endings, and the Five of Pentacles is all about feeling lost, feeling lack, feeling out in the cold. And I think that there's a need to recognize for the both of you where you may have acted out of pain, wounding, and fear, and not hold that over the other's head, and recognize that it's okay to not know, like, to make mistakes and to not know any better and to do the best that you can. Sometimes you're going to mess things up anyway. But I think Spirit is saying, you know, restrictions and things like that, especially when it comes to like the panoramic and like visas and things like that, those are definitely outside of your control. And it might be hard, especially if you're missing this person, but there's definitely nothing. Most of that is past energy, and most of it just like kind of requires like patience and the ability to look at things objectively and be open to being patient and also healing those things. So let's go ahead and look at the potential outcome of this meeting. Ooh, okay. So we have the Eight of Pentacles and the Knight of Pentacles. This is awesome. So you both are definitely going to be in agreement that you want to continue putting effort and energy towards this connection. And what I think is really beautiful, yeah, so on the back of the deck, we have the Eight of Cups. So I think that any difficulties here or any difficulties in past connections, I think those are things you both are going to be walking away from and learning to release. But I think there's going to be a mutual agreement on like both ends. I do want to say I cut the deck just randomly and I saw the Ace of Cups. So I definitely think that feelings are going to be a flowing and a flying. But what I can really see here with the Knight of Pentacles and the Eight of Pentacles is that you both are going to be committed to like nurturing this connection and creating solid growth. I also think that you both are going to maybe like write each other little notes or like put more effort into helping the other person feel more valued and feel more cared for. I think you both are going to be really consistent with communication, really consistent with like your expectations of one another, your expectations within being in a connection. I definitely think that with this new beginning, like nothing is going to happen very quickly and intensely. It's all going to happen naturally and with mutual effort at a very gradual pace that you both are comfortable with. It's quite possible that in the past things may have gotten messed up because you got too in your head, or there was a lack of communication, or there was a lot of uncertainty. But in this case, it's like you both are showing up ready to work together, ready to commit to whatever goal you both have, to commit to this new beginning. And I definitely think that you both are going to be feeling secure in this connection, feeling secure in the idea that you don't have to devote all your mental energy to this connection. Like, you know, it's something solid, it's going to be something safe, and you both are secure in the idea that you both are mutually putting effort into it. So it's a very beautiful energy, and definitely something that I think you both will be, after this next meeting, I think you both will be very satisfied. I also think it's quite likely you'll have some sort of game plan or general idea of where you want to head in the near future. And I think you both are going to honor that. You're going to honor whatever you both came to agreements about. And I think that you both are just going to continue to put an equal amount of effort and a consistent amount of effort into helping the other feel heard, helping the other feel nurtured, and really working to make sure the other feels like, you know, they matter and that this connection is important. So let's go ahead and finish off for you with some advice. So to start, we have forgive. Whether in person or in your mind, forgive and move forward. The only person you're hurting by holding on to resentment is yourself. We also have growth. I want to expand my consciousness and my awareness. So I do think one thing that Spirit is saying is that, like, you know, this connection brings about a lot of growth and a lot more awareness. And it's important to remember, like, you know, when you're being hard on yourself for maybe how you acted or things you didn't know in the past, it's like important to remember to not chastise yourself for things that you weren't even aware of at the time that you experienced them. You know, you have to make mistakes and experience challenges in order to learn and grow and expand your consciousness. We also have write a gratitude list. So I definitely think that Spirit is asking you to focus on what you do have and not what you don't have, especially if you are stressing about this connection, especially if you're stressing about this connection and you're already in a commitment with this person, because I definitely think that Spirit is like, yes, this connection may not be where you want it to be right now, but like, let's focus on what we do have. We still have the connection. We still have other great things, you know? Let's try not to focus on what we don't have, because that'll just make us feel crappy in the long run, right? We also have surrender to prayer. Give yourself over completely to prayer. When you pray from your heart, you will be heard throughout the universe, and answers and support will arrive. And I do just want to say, like, I used to knock on prayer. I mean, I used to not believe in any of this shit. So, like, I'd be like, oh yeah, send your thoughts and prayers, please, like, whatever. But I realized, like, prayer actually is, like, really effective, and praying, like, sincerely and genuinely takes an amount of humbleness that the ego maybe just doesn't necessarily believe in. But literally nothing bad can come from praying. And it's not like you have to pray to anything specific. It's not that you have to have some certain script. You can literally just pray to the beings that love you unconditionally to help you, or to release pain, or to release burden. Like, prayer does not have to be difficult. You don't have to think too hard about it. Like, you're allowed to ask for things, and you're allowed to submit yourself to something grander and more divine than you. And we also have my high vibe thoughts create health in my body, peace in my mind, and love in my heart. Well, we love peace and love on this channel, and health. So I definitely think that Spirit is asking you to think positively about this situation, to think positively about your future, and to not let your fears, not let your past wounds get in the way of something that could be very positive for you. You might be working yourself up for no reason, and jumping to conclusions that don't even exist. So I think that Spirit is asking you to cultivate more peace and love, and that will help your outcome, or your expectations of outcome, be very healthy, and also help you release a lot of the stress around this, and release a lot of the anxiety and anticipation around this. So pile 2, I am going to leave this reading here and head over to the extended. But if you are leaving me here, thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you so much for watching my ads. That is the simplest and easiest way to support me and exchange energy with me. But if you would like to show your appreciation for what I do in any other ways, like I said, you can check out the extended. You can like this video, you can comment down below, let me know how it resonates. You can subscribe if you haven't already. You can check out my social media, which will be linked below, though do be aware, I do not offer personal readings, and there are tons of scammers pretending to be me on Instagram. So if you get a follow and a DM from someone that seems like me, it's definitely not me. I will not ever slide in your DMs trying to get a personal reading from you. If anyone says they're me and they want to give you a personal reading, they're a goddamn liar. And they're not me, because I don't offer personal readings. So I also have merch, and I think that's it. So thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you so much for being here. I really hope that this reading helped, and I hope that you got answers that you needed and some clarity. So I hope you all have a wonderful day or night whenever it is that you're watching this video, and I hope you'll come back and see me again soon. Bye. Hi there, pile 3. If you guys chose the Opalite butterfly, this is going to be your reading on the next time you see this person. So this card is going to represent the overall energy of your next meeting. And I also have an energy card here to represent the energy between the two of you, but to make sure that this is your reading and that this is actually going to resonate so you don't have to sit through everything if it doesn't, we are first going to do an energy check and look at both yours and their energy. So you should be able to find at least your energy here, but if you can't find yourself in either side, this is likely not your reading. But what I will say as well is if you notice there's mirroring in both sides, that is absolutely okay. If you see yourself in both, it's typically indicative of mirroring. I essentially said the answer anyway. Okay, so let's go ahead and look now. So for person A, we have the Chariot, and for person B, we have the Devil. So right off the bat, the Chariot could have Cancer placements, the Devil could have Capricorn placements. Absolutely do not have to, but those energies are there. One thing that I will say right off the bat is that these two are incredibly driven individuals. Very intense and passionate in their own ways. I think the Chariot is a little bit more hyperactive or intense. Like they might like to be like go, go, go all the time, or even if they're not physically moving, another aspect of themselves is hyperactive in some way. So like they might, you know, be thinking a lot really intensely, or they may just have tons of like energies flowing through them. I do feel like the Chariot person is somebody that is more deeply emotional and at times can be unstable when it comes to their emotions. Whereas I feel like the Devil person maybe has trouble kind of tapping into their emotions in general. I think that the Devil person, I just heard Queen Elizabeth II saying duty in my head. So I feel like the Devil person is a duty, is a duty over all else type person. Whereas I feel like the Chariot, their intensity and their motivation for success is partially a desire on their end to be successful, but I think there's a deeper desire, like they're extra motivated to serve others, especially those that they care about. And I think that they also really care about protecting those that they love. Like they have a gladiator energy in the sense that like even if they on the outside are like the softest, sweetest small being, like if someone they love is threatened, like mama bear comes out, and they may not even be a mama, it's just like that nurturing energy. Whereas I feel like the Devil person is more silent and sturdy, but I think that their care and affection and love for others is really shown through the work that they do. The acts of service they may commit, or the like I said, the sense of duty is what's coming out here, even though every time I say that word I giggle. Anyway, I do think that the Devil person does have like a freakier side to them, but it's not something that they readily show everyone. Like even in this picture, like they're not showing their face. So like I do think that there's almost this anonymous aspect to the Devil where like they're only going to show you what they feel comfortable showing you. And even then, they might feel like they're showing you a lot, but they're really not even showing anything. Like Spirit's showing me a specific episode of RuPaul's Drag Race where they were supposed to go down the runway like naked, but they weren't actually naked. They were wearing, well, most of them weren't actually naked. They were wearing like flesh-colored bodysuits that were meant to look like a nude woman. And I feel like that's kind of the Devil's energy in the sense that like they could be bearing it all, but they're wearing like a flesh suit and like still covering everything up. Like the Devil thinks they're giving a mile when they're giving an inch, I think is kind of the vibe that I'm getting. And I do think that there are deep afflictions that the Devil deals with, as well as the Chariot, but they both process them a different way. So like the Devil is very much like I'm hearing Elsa in my head right now, conceal, don't feel, don't let them know, like bury it down, bury it in certain afflictions. So like this person may get really invested in their work. I just heard, like, this isn't an 18 plus reading, but I did just hear like BDSM and things like that. So I do think that that may not resonate for all of you, but I do think for some of you, you may not even know that this person's into that, but especially if this is like a friend thing, you might be like, whoa, TMI. But I do think that the devil person has a freakier side that they keep hidden. I think that they put a lot of pressure on themselves to be not human, which is a little ridiculous, but they really go above and beyond, and like work for them is play. If the devil already has like family, I think that they are really committed to family. Like I'm hearing Vin Diesel in my head over and over going family, 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 family. Or a bunch of the Vin Diesels going family. Whereas I feel like the Chariot person they're dedicated, but their energy is a lot more sporadic. It's like one day they may not have the energy to get up and get moving at all, whereas 2 days from then they'll have tons of energy, tons and tons of motivation to do things. But I think one thing that hurts my heart a little bit about the Chariot is that they're not very motivated to do things for themselves. I think they're really only motivated to do things for others. And so I do think at times that can be a hindrance to them and can create a lot of pain for them. Whereas I feel like for the devil, I think that they're more so, they take care of themselves a little bit better. I still wouldn't say that they're like a self-care king or queen, but I do think that they have a more balanced approach to taking care of themselves. But I think that self-care is very much physically motivated. So I think that they likely try to stay conscious of how they're eating, their exercise, things like that. But I don't really think that they worry too much or like to dig in too much about like their mental health or their emotional health or things like that. I also feel like the devil is very non-expressive when it comes to their emotions, unless they're pushed to a certain point, which that doesn't happen very often, if ever. Like the devil person is so constrained in certain ways that they don't necessarily feel comfortable expressing certain parts of themselves. The devil person could do something like medically, because I see like a caduceus here, but also I think that they could be well off as well with this pentacle here. It is quite possible that they could be self-employed, or they could have a business, or they could be high up in a business, or even if it honestly doesn't even matter where they're at in their career. I think that this is just a really hardworking, driven, motivated person, very grounded. I think it's hard for them to get out of the literal energy around them. I think that metaphors, emotions, things that aren't necessarily physically seen but are intuitively sensed, I don't think that that's the devil's strong suit. Whereas I feel like the Chariot is the opposite in a lot of ways. The Chariot is very good at sensing what is not being said and sensing what is not being spoken. So I can definitely see right off the bat where there might be an irritating aspect to this connection, where the Chariot can feel things going on with the devil, and they might say it to the devil, and the devil's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And the Chariot might be like, well, I think you're lying. And the devil's like, I'm not lying. Like, I'm not lying about it at all. And the devil's actually being honest about this, because the things that the Chariot is picking up on are things that the devil is not consciously aware of. So it's like both parties feel kind of crazy at times, in the sense that like they may feel like there's being accusations thrown, or that like the other's not being honest, and I don't think it's a lack of honesty. I think it's just a lack of understanding where the other person is coming from. Because the Chariot person, I will say, is a lot more emotionally sensitive. And I think that's likely because they haven't been treated very well. I think that they've been and I'm not saying by the devil person specifically, I just think in general, people have taken advantage of their kindness, people have taken advantage of their heart. I also think that they've just, like, they kind of have a frayed nerve energy, where they work really hard to balance their emotions and keep themselves okay, but it's very easy for them to fall off the chariot, so to speak, and be affected by whatever it is that they're going through, especially because even if they don't have any Cancer placements, like, this person is definitely affected by the moon. And like, I think that the moon cycles definitely impact their emotions, their feelings. And I also think that while they're very motivated to do things, they don't really have a very good sense of direction. It's like they might almost run themselves in circles at times because they feel like they need to be productive, or they want to do a lot, and they feel motivated to, I just heard, to be a lot. So I think that the Chariot may have really big dreams, very big ambitious goals that they're after. And they may kind of run themselves in circles because they get a new dream, or they have a new desire, or they're not feeling it one day, or it's just kind of like, you kind of never know what you're going to get with the Chariot, and you know exactly what you're going to get with the Devil. So for the Devil, I think that they may struggle in the sense that, like, they may not know what kind of energy they're going to get from the Chariot, whereas the Chariot, I think, really feels unseen and unheard by the Devil person, and I don't think that this is intentional. This is actually something I will say, like, side note, that I notice a lot with very earthy people, very grounded, tuned in people. As someone who is very sensitive and, you know, tuned into things that other people necessarily aren't, it's really hard for people to empathize or really understand where more sensitive people are coming from, because it's not that they don't want to understand what the other person is going through. It's just that they literally, like, can't, in the sense that, like, you can't force someone to be more sensitive to something than they are. You know what I mean? Like, somebody who's not sensitive to fluorescent lights or you know, tactile stimuli or things like that, like, they're just not going to understand that experience for someone who is more sensitive. I think it's really easy for sensitive people to understand where other people are coming from. But I think on the same token, it's harder for sensitive people to understand where less sensitive people are coming from, because everything touches them, everything hits them, everything, you know, is more intense and is felt more deeply. Whereas it's just not the same impact. Like, if you took the Chariot and the Devil, and you had both of them in terms of their intensity of experience, like, they could have the same experience. Like, say it's they're both standing here and they're both being hit with a pillow. For the Chariot, it might feel like they're being hit by a bus. They may be like, why was someone hitting me with a pillow? Like, that was so painful. Like, why was that? Like, they'll get caught up with it. And to the Devil, it might feel like a gust of air, or like nothing even hit them. They're just like, oh, okay, I'm gonna move forward. Like that was nothing. And so it's just, these two have very, very, very different ways of operating. So there's definitely an energy here where there's a deep desire to connect on both ends, I think, or a deep desire at least to understand one another, no matter what type of connection this is. But it keeps hitting roadblocks because there's a lack of understanding on both sides of where the other is coming from. And I think instead of the other, like, listening, I think both are trying to explain their perspectives. It's honestly kind of like a never-ending cycle is what it feels like, or a cycle that is becoming exhausting. It's like these two are continuing to do the same things in order to try to resolve energies between the two of them, and they're not reaching any definite conclusions because neither party is fully seeing or understanding the other. And like I said, it's not a like an intentional thing. Like, neither party is trying to get under the other's skin intentionally. Neither party is trying to make the other person feel unseen and unheard. It's just that we're working with two very, very, very different perspectives, different also, like, different values, different ideas of what's important to them. So there's definitely some frustration here that I'm feeling right off the bat, just because there's like a desire to connect more deeply, and it's not happening because there's friction in the way that these two both operate and express themselves. So what I want to do now is look at, in this next meeting, what your energies with the other are going to be, and what that's going to look like. So for the Chariot, we have the Scorpion, and for the Devil, we have the Beaver, which I think makes complete sense. So the Chariot is definitely, they're like on offense and defense at the same time, whereas the Beaver is kind of just going to be taking it all in. I definitely feel their energy to be more stoic, and I definitely think that they want to hear the Scorpion person out. The vibe that I'm getting on the Scorpion's end is that there are things that the Scorpion wants to talk through, wants to talk about. I think that there are things that the Scorpion maybe hasn't been saying because they feel like the Devil person won't necessarily understand where they're coming from, or they feel like they won't be heard, so what's the point? But they're realizing that they need to express these things because they feel stung in a way. I do think that their energy is going to be a bit intense, but the fact that we have fire and water here, I do feel like the Devil person will kind of be in this more mature, nurturing energy, because I do think that the Devil person cares. Although I will say, depending on the connection, for some it's a more caring energy where I feel like this person is going to be very kind and understanding towards the Scorpion or towards the Chariot person, and for others I feel like the Devil person is just going to kind of be taking it all in. They're probably not going to be saying much, and they're just going to be trying to diffuse any intensity. Even though the Devil person is good at dealing with intensity in certain ways, I think emotional intensity is not something that they're particularly very comfortable with. And I also think that once again here, we're seeing a difference of perspective and where things are important. I feel like the Devil person is much more concerned about security, family, home. And I think the Chariot is much more concerned about the connection, how the connection is making them feel, and how the connection with the Devil is impacting them, whatever type of connection it may be. I feel like the Devil person doesn't, and I don't, if you're the Chariot person, I don't want you to take this personally, but I feel like the Devil person doesn't take as much stock in personal relationships as the Chariot person does. And it's not because they don't care or that they don't have a desire to be in relationships or be in or connect with others in general. It's just that they have things that are more important to them, like they value their job, their work, and there may be a part of them where they avoid their emotions because there could be trauma there or something like that. But I definitely think that the Devil person is going to be taking a high road in this situation, because I do think that they care, and I do think that they're going to want to hear the Chariot person out, but I feel like they're not really going to want to say or do much because I feel like the Chariot person is already going to be in a very highly charged state. And so they're not going to want to add fuel to that fire, if that makes sense. Whereas the Scorpion person, I feel like, or Chariot person, I definitely think that they care a lot, and it's because they care a lot that they're very intense, and that may not come across that way to other people who are maybe more stoic, but what I can see here is that I do think that as long as the Chariot person is respectful, I do think that the Devil person will be more receptive to their energy and what's going on. But I definitely do think that this is going to be kind of a highly charged experience, at least on the Chariot's end, because for some of these are things that they've been holding back for a little while. And it does kind of seem like they're wearing their armor in a sense. Like the Devil person is like, come as you are. They seem to be really furry. But I think that there's an importance of communication here, in the sense that like both parties here need to kind of understand where how the other is different. And I think especially for the Scorpion person, the Chariot person, I think that they're going to feel more diffused during this situation once they've kind of gotten that emotion out, because I think what they're doing is they're holding it all in, and it's coming to a boiling point. So I want to go ahead and look now at what both parties in this connection will have going on in their life outside of this connection, or just like in general, like what energies are they bringing to the table. So for the Chariot person, we have the Moon, instability, illusion, memories. And for the Beaver, we have Clover, fortune, surprise, hope. So I think part of the reason why the Devil person is able to be so receptive and like open and like chill is because I do think that things in their personal life are kind of chilling out a little bit. They're kind of getting in a better place. They're feeling solid. They're feeling more secure. And I think a lot of the Chariot, I'm going to be honest, I think a lot of the Chariot's pain has been pain of their own creation, in the sense that they may have taken things incredibly personally that the Devil wasn't even aware was a factor. Like, yeah, I mean, you even see here, like, you see Aladdin and Abu, and, you know, I definitely think that the Chariot deals with paranoia or anxious thoughts, and with this instability, illusion, and memories, they may not even be remembering situations the same way the Devil person is. And I think maybe the Devil person has been giving the Chariot person like time and space to themselves, but I do think the Devil person is going to be aware that like the Chariot person's emotions are very highly charged, and being combative or being invalidating is not really going to serve anything here. But I do think that the Chariot person is feeling really insecure during this meeting. I think they're feeling really uncertain, and I think that they are having trouble knowing what is the truth, because their fears and their worries are overpowering any positivity they could possibly have about a situation. I do think that they have a lot of sensitivity around connecting with others, and I feel like they do take things very, 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 very personally sometimes. And I mean, more Moon energy, like it's a lot of fears, it's a lot of their own, like they're their own worst like bully and enemy, in the sense that they really do torture themselves in a lot of ways. And it's like the Devil could actually probably really relate with that energy, but the Devil channels it into whatever it is that they're doing. That still may not be the healthiest thing in the world to do, but the Devil at least has an outlet, whereas the Chariot person does not. I feel like the Chariot person either is not doing this at all, or is starting to learn how to invest more in themselves and work on themselves, but I think they hold so much more stock in the people around them than they do in themselves. And I think part of their desires to be ambitious and to do a lot and to be a lot is not necessarily a motivation based on pure desire, but a motivation to be seen and valid and appreciated by those around them. I really feel for the Chariot person, because I do think that they're in a lot of pain. And I do think that they are definitely struggling to be objective and kind of get outside of their emotions. I think their emotions are ruling them more so than they are ruling their emotions. And I think that the Devil person is kind of like not even acknowledging the emotions that they have, or not really letting, like, I feel like the Devil person is not taking, in this next instance, like, they're not taking this situation very personally, like, because that's one thing that the Devil can teach the Chariot for sure, is that not everything is so personal, and like not everybody is thinking and judging you as intensely as you are. That's what they would say to the Chariot. But I also think that for the Devil person, it's like they're in more of a state of healing. Like I notice here, you know, we have Tiana holding the frog, and you know, I think of frogs as like healing, cooling down, and I think that the Devil person has wanted to work through issues, but they felt like maybe they couldn't really get through to the Chariot, or they felt like the Chariot wouldn't listen to them, because I do think that one thing about the Chariot is that when they are highly charged, when they are emotional, they don't really listen to anyone. They kind of steamroll. There's a little bit of a steamrolling energy here. But I will say that the Chariot does care a lot, and this energy is difficult in the sense that it's hard to work with someone when they are in such a highly charged state. So I do think that the Devil person is going to be in this energy of really just trying to neutralize whatever is going on here. So let's go ahead and look at the energy being shared between the two of you during this meeting. So we have forgiveness. The energy of forgiveness strengthens our capacity to let go of unwanted feelings and emotions. Okay, so this is awesome. This is definitely a sign that, so the energy that I'm picking up is either past energy that has already occurred, and this next meeting is an opportunity to work through these things. I do think that the Chariot person will still be kind of highly charged, but I think it's going to be up to the Devil person to kind of show the Chariot person where maybe they're not being the most realistic, maybe where they're being a little bit unfair, or where they're not seeing things clearly. But I mean, white always makes me think of peace. And I think both parties here are committed to finding peace and to forgiving one another. I also think that both parties do not want to hold grudges, be upset with the other. But I definitely think that both energies within this connection are going to, whether this next meeting is like this energy coming to a head, or this energy has already happened or will, well, I feel like if it will happen, it's not going to happen during a meeting. I think it's going to be a long time. It's going to be culminating energy, but it's like they both really want to let go of these certain energies and let go of what's been weighing them down. So let's go ahead and look at the predominant energy of this next meeting. So we have Treehouse, find peace in being alone. Solitude, introspection, independence. So what I'm getting with this is I do think that this next meeting may instigate a time of separation, or there may be forgiveness here, but you both may need time to like cool down and process things. But another thing that I'm getting is that it's quite possible that your next meeting may not be in person. It may be online, either through texting, calling, something like that. Especially if these two aren't in the same area. I do think though that if these two are meeting in person, I think that you both are meeting alone. Like there's not going to be people around you. You're going to be in this situation where you just really want to hear each other out, and it could be that you're already in this period of not really talking to one another, introspecting and doing things on your own, being independent, and this is a culminating energy of coming back together and wanting to forgive one another. So we're gonna go ahead and see what the case is. It may be different for all of you, but we're gonna go ahead and get into the tarot portion now. So I am using the new Immortals Tarot. This is the first time I'm using this deck in a video, so congratulations. Pile 3, you rock. I did also want to mention while I was shuffling that if this reading resonates, there will be an extended, where in the extended we're going to be looking at how this person is going to be thinking and feeling after this meeting, the energy, like potential of this connection after this meeting, and then we'll get more advice. And I will say the extendeds have been very, very juicy. Well, they're always usually pretty juicy, but they've been quite interesting. Give her one more good shuffle. Okay, so what we're going to start with is we're going to look at when, where, how this meeting will happen. I'm kind of leaving it open to spirit to say what they want to say. And I'm also hearing that song as I was saying that, like, what's that song? It's like, say what you need to say. And the guy says it like over and over and over and over and over and over and over. It's like basically the whole song. That song was playing. But let's go ahead and see, Spirit. When, where, how will this meeting happen? How will it come together? Okay, we have the Queen of Swords. So I definitely think that we have somebody reaching out. And I definitely think it is going to be, I think it's more likely that it's the Chariot person. I feel like the Devil person is totally the type of person to not take like needing to give someone space personally. So I definitely think that the Chariot person is going to be reaching out. It could be the opposite though. It could be the Devil person saying like, hey, I really want to talk things out. I really want to talk things through. But I definitely could see this being not in person, in the sense that you may not be physically together for this meeting, but you are communicating at the very least. And I do think that the communication will be mature, but I do think it will be a little bit more detached and cold, in the sense that like, I feel like the Devil is just going to want to be as neutralizing as possible, whereas I feel like the Chariot person is going to be a little bit charged, and they may be a little bit on edge. But I do think that one of you is going to be instigating communication, reaching out to the other, in whichever format that is. I also just saw like a letter being mailed. So for some of you, like this could start with like a letter or even like an email from the other. It's quite possible, like maybe you both have been in these periods of like thinking about the other but not really wanting to reach out. I definitely think that somebody is coming forward and saying, hey, like I want to talk, like I want to like clear the air is the best way I could say it. So what is the positive energy surrounding this meeting, Spirit? You might be like, it doesn't sound like there's any positive energy, but this reading, I will say, of all the readings so far, definitely seems to be the most important, in the sense that not every meeting is sunshines and rainbows, and not every meeting is easy. Like, it takes maturity to have difficult conversations. It takes maturity to work through conflict, and it takes maturity to see where the other person is coming from. So I think that this is like a really important energy. And like, even if these two decide that they don't really want to move forward with anything, I do think the fact that they're both sitting down and having a mature conversation is so important. It's so important for both of them and their growth and their evolution. So Spirit, what is the positive energy surrounding this meeting? What is the positive energy surrounding this meeting? Okay, we have the Ace of Wands and the Empress. Okay, so wowie. Okay. So if this is a friendship, one thing I will say is that like friendship / platonic connection, I definitely think that there's a lot of like, I think one thing that these two really bond over is their sense of humor and their ability to see things that other people don't. And I do think that there's like childhood experiences or past experiences that they both relate to. But also, I do think, I feel this in more of the Devil person's energy, but it could be like the opposite. So I think for the Devil person, the positive energy coming in on their end is that they're feeling secure, they're feeling solid. They're just going to kind of be like allowing things to happen. Like they're going to be really standing in their power. They're going to be really graceful and accepting of what's happening. I also feel like this situation is going to occur naturally. And I also think that there's opportunity for inspiration from this situation. So like, no matter what, like if there's any creatives in this pile, I do think that this opportunity will bring about creative inspiration. And I also think with the Chariot person, I think the positive energy they're bringing in is motivation to resolve unhealed energies and motivation to come forward and be honest. I feel like the Chariot maybe struggles with being like passive aggressive, in the sense that like they may be kind of slightly afraid of conflict, and then at the same time like they're afraid to voice what is actually happening to them. And so I feel like they're finally getting the confidence to say, hey, XYZ hurt me, or hey, I really need to talk about this. Whereas the Devil person, I think, is feeling secure enough in themselves that the Chariot person's emotions are not going to be seen on the Devil's end as like a critique of them or something that they're doing wrong. I also think that the Devil person is going to be in this very nurturing energy. Like I said, the Empress is very motherly energy and the Beaver is very fatherly energy. So I definitely think that the Devil person is going to be coming in with a very mature and nurturing perspective, and I think they're going to be very accepting and understanding of where the Chariot person is coming from. But I will say, if you are the Chariot person, how you communicate your feelings and how you communicate your experience will make all the difference between the Devil person being more or less receptive. I think while it can be very difficult to not let your feelings run away with you, I think if you have a grounded and more mature approach to communicating with the Devil person, I think they will have tons and tons of respect for that and really be able to listen in a less overwhelming way, because I do think intensity of other people's emotions can be very overwhelming for them and they may just shut down. So let's go ahead and see what you need to be aware of before this meeting happens. Okay, we have the Queen of Pentacles. So I do think that somebody's mother could be involved here. Or this could be some sort of like, I hate saying third party situation, but like the Devil person could be in another relationship. Or the Chariot person could be in this position where they may be placing too high of expectations on this meeting. I think there's a real need for both to be grounded going into this meeting, because it is quite possible that maybe there's like this is like a past situation that you both are just ready to resolve. I don't like saying third party situation because I don't like freaking people out and like giving people anxiety, because a third party could be anything. It could be work, it could be literally just them focusing on themselves, could be another romantic interest. But I feel like if there is another romantic interest, like you will know about it. Like it's a very solid, like this person's not hiding it, like this is not a secret in any way. So if that's the case, I do think that if this person has another partner, I do think that they will be very aware of this meeting. So if you're the Chariot person, I would say like be kind of careful about what you say about their personal life, because I'm hearing like Bad Blood by Taylor Swift in my head. So like I do think that you could maybe create more issues if you're feeling like really fired up. But like I said, this Queen of Pentacles doesn't have to represent another person. I do think that though that Spirit is encouraging both of you before this meeting happens to really take care of yourself first and make sure that you're ready for this conversation. Don't force this conversation to happen before it's time. I think that this conversation is really meant to be a conversation that is mature and grounded. And I do think though that the universe is kind of supporting you both and helping you both find security and feel safe within this meeting. I also think that if this meeting is happening virtually, I think Spirit is asking you to make sure that you have comfort items around, or what is it? Like a cozy safe space for you to either go to once this talk is over, or to be in when you're going through this experience, so maybe it's less overwhelming to communicate. Okay, so are there any factors outside of pile 3's control, or both people in this connection's control they need to be aware of? The Devil. Okay. So I definitely am getting the vibe that a lot of you are the Chariot person. Some of you could be the Devil person, but the vibe that I'm getting here is that there are toxic energies in this connection. And I don't mean that in like you both are toxic bad people. Everybody has toxic habits and behaviors. And honestly, I hate using the word toxic because it's so overused. But like there are unhealthy patterns that you both display within this connection. And that's probably why there has been difficulties or separation or just full out like not communicating with the other, not being involved with the other. So I think the factors outside of your control on both ends are your triggers. I think that you both are going to have to be aware of those going in. But for the Chariot person, they may want to control the outcome, and Spirit's saying like you can't push the Devil person, like they're not going anywhere, like they're very sturdy, like trying to move the Devil person would be like trying to change the current of the ocean. Like it's just not gonna happen. Like it's gonna go the way it's gonna go and you're not gonna change it. The Devil person definitely, they prioritize. So these two share a similar energy in the sense that you both prioritize those around you. But I think for the Chariot person, it's more emotionally motivated. And like I said, for the Devil person, it's more duty motivated. So it is quite possible, like I'm getting a scenario, for example, like maybe this Devil person is in a marriage that they're very unhappy with, that they're maybe not very comfortable with. And they feel a connection to the Chariot person, and the Chariot person may really want something deeper, want something more. But the Devil person just may not have the same priorities. Like they may have a family, they may be wanting to work on that. But like I said, I don't want to like stress anyone out. You'll know if this is your situation or not. You will know. Like I think like if you for all you know, like this person is single, like I don't think they have a secret wife or something like that, or secret husband or secret partner. I think that they're very upfront about their family. That's something that they're actually very proud of. But I do think that one of the biggest factors outside of your control is your shadow aspects, both of you. Like your shadow aspects may come out here, and that may be a little bit difficult. But I do think that you both are learning how to control them. But I do think that the Devil person is very set in their ways. And so it is very hard. Like, whereas the Chariot is very adaptable, I think that the Devil is about as adaptable as a boulder sitting in the middle of a field. Like, they're not moving. Okay, so let's see the potential outcome of this meeting. Oh, okay. Wow. That's good. What's on the back of the deck? Queen of Wands. Okay. So the potential outcome of this meeting is the Eight of Pentacles. This is actually a really good sign. So yeah, for a lot of you, which also, like I said, this may not be a romantic connection. So like if this is like somebody that you care about, their significant other may play a role in how they receive you or in how they view situations. So that may be something that you want to be aware of, that like they may have somebody speaking in their ear, like telling them things that may not necessarily be true. Oh, look at that. I just cut it and we saw the Chariot. So I do think that this will actually be a very positive outcome, but you may not see it immediately. I think you both will come to the agreement that you want to work on this connection, that you want to get to a better place here, that you want to reach an understanding here, that you want to work on this connection and work on understanding each other. But I definitely think that it will take some time. I'm hearing The Middle right now by Jimmy Eat World, and I definitely think that this is a connection that will be worked through slowly but steadily. But I think if this is like, for example, like if neither of you are interested, like if this is a potentially romantic connection, I think you both will be working on making each other more of a priority and work on hearing and seeing each other more. I do think, though, that there may be more isolation periods as you kind of process difficult energies and difficult conversations. I also think that there will be some silence in the sense that you both may work on yourselves apart from one another more. Like, it may take some time for this to fully come around. But I do think whatever outcome this situation comes to, it will be something that you both agree on and you both will be willing to work towards. I think this is actually a really, really solid energy. And I think that you both will actually be, I don't think it's the energy of compromise where, like, you know, in compromise, like, both people lose. You know what I mean? Like, only if you're viewing it that way. I mean, if you really, the both of you lose if you are unwilling to hear the other out and see what the other is trying to say. But, like, I do think that you both will have to compromise and make concessions for the other and be willing to work with the other. It will take a mutual desire of working together, and I think that you're gonna get there. I think that you're gonna get there, and you both are gonna be in agreement that you want to work this out and come to some sort of peace and forgive one another. So let's go ahead and move on into advice for you. So to start, we have give and receive love. Give love with a generous heart and receive love with an open heart. And I also want to say again, like, if this is a romantic interest and you know that this person, like, doesn't have anyone, I do not want you freaking out and being like, oh my God, like, they care about someone else. Like, I don't want you running away with yourself. Like, that's why I hate saying that. But I know that's the case for some people. It's important to remember that this is a general reading. I am a pair of talking hands on the internet. You know yourself more than I do. You know your situation more than I do. I'm just reading energies, and I'm reading on a collective level. So you have to understand there are tons of different combinations, tons of different situations, and the semantics of your situation, you have to take what resonates. Like, you cannot stress yourself out over things that are literally not even real for you, okay? So I want you to breathe, okay? Because this third party could literally be work. This third party could be their shadow. Like, I hate saying third party. I hate saying it. I hate saying it. I hate saying it. Because I hate it. But I just wanted to say that. Like, I have to call what I see, and I wanted to say that that's not the situation for everyone by any means. Remember, there's a lot of you here, and I love having all of you here, but I got to give the interpretations for everything that I'm feeling and not hold back on that because I'm afraid of what the result will be for those where it doesn't apply. So do not force something if it doesn't apply. Do not stress yourself out unnecessarily. It is not worth it. It will not benefit you in any way. And truthfully, even if this person is in something else, which if they are, you will know. Like, I'm telling you, you will know. It shouldn't matter in the sense that, like, you should be worried about you. You know, there's a reason why I don't do third-party readings, and it's not like I have nothing against people that do them, but I think that, like, in a situation where you're not personally involved in any way, there's nothing really productive that can come out of, like, knowing about that, because it's like that's their energy, their experiences, what they need to learn. And, like, I think we all deserve to explore things for ourselves, and in situations like this, like, I'm not going to read a connection where you're not involved in some way, if that makes sense. That's kind of my boundary when it comes to readings like these. But I do just want to say, like, please don't stress yourself out. Please don't worry yourself and get yourself sick with thoughts that aren't even realistic, because it's not worth it. You're just going to be creating more pain for yourself, and it's just not worth it. It's not worth getting worked up over. I don't know why I felt the need to be so intense there, but I do just want to say, like, if there is another person in the picture, you will absolutely know. If you do not know of another person in the picture, I do not think there is anyone in the picture at all. So if it's a friend, like, it's completely different. But for those of you where you really care and you might be worried about that, I just want to say, pump the fucking brakes, breathe in and breathe out, and recognize it's none of your business anyway. It's nothing you can control. And there's no point working yourself up over something that, one, you don't even have concrete evidence of, or isn't even part of your message or part of your reading. And yeah, I think I've said my piece there. I just don't want to stress anyone out. I just wanted to stress that is for some people, not others. And for the people that message is for, they will absolutely know. And so if you're like freaking out, like, oh, is there someone, that message is not for you. Breathe. No need to get worked up. Okay. We also have indecision. I use my intuition in all aspects of my life. We also have make a meal. Yeah, one thing I will say, if like you are, make sure you're not neglecting your physical body. I know that sometimes like when I'm really struggling and I'm feeling like shit, I forget to eat, or I don't want to eat, but like eating is really important, and feeding yourself, hydrating yourself is incredibly important, and I think that it could be really helpful. And I even noticed that we've got mirroring 32s here. So you might also like, you might get so lost in whatever you're dealing with that you just may forget to take care of your needs completely. So what I will say to you is that make sure you're taking that time. You are worth the extra effort and care. You are worth, even if it's ordering out, like you don't even need to make a meal, but just like even just eating, like make sure you're eating, make sure you're hydrating yourself. We also have surrender resentments. Holding on to resentments only poisons you. Try to forgive others for their shortcomings and keep moving forward toward positive situations in your life. Yeah, I couldn't say it better. And we also have when I lead from a place of love, people respect me. Yeah. So that's what I was saying with that, like when it comes to having a conversation, when you come from a place of love, like even if you don't love the situation, even if you don't love the person, but love enough for like wanting to be respectful and wanting to come from a loving place, it will help you catch more flies with honey than you do vinegar, is the point of what I'm saying here. But I think that is all I have for you guys, pile 3. So I am going to move things over to the extended, but if you're leaving me here, that is absolutely okay. Thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you so much for watching my ads. That is the simplest and easiest way to support me. But if you would like to support me in other ways, you can like this video, you can comment down below, you can subscribe if you haven't already, and you can click that little bell notification to be notified whenever it is that I upload a new reading. I also am much more likely to see and respond to you when I first upload. Other than that, it happens very sporadically because I try not to look at the comments too much for my own mental health. But I also have social media, though do be aware I have tons of scammers pretending to be me, especially on Instagram. I do not offer personal readings. I will never slide in your DMs offering you to pay for a reading. Sometimes I do on the off chance, like, give someone a free reading, but like that's very rare, and it will be free. I won't slide in your DMs and ask you, like if I feel compelled to, which rarely happens, it will be free and from a place of love. I'll never expect you to pay. But I don't even know why I clarified that, because it very rarely ever happens. But point of that being, if someone pretends to be me, slides in your DMs and asks if you want a reading, and they're expecting you to pay, it's absolutely not me. But I mean, if it's not linked below, it's not me. There are tons of scammers pretending to be me, so just be careful. And then I also have merch, which I'm wearing right now. You can see it kind of. It says ASO 888, kind of lit. Kind of litty titty. Okay, but that's all I have. So thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you so much for being here. I really hope that this reading helped and brought you some sort of clarity. I really hope you all have a wonderful day or night whenever it is that you're watching this video, and I hope you'll come back and see me again soon. Bye. Hi there, pile 4. If you guys chose the Rose Quartz Sun, this is going to be your reading on the next time you see the person that you are thinking of. But to make sure this is your reading, we are going to check the energies first. I do have a card to represent the energy between you both during this connection, and this card will represent the overall energy of the next meeting, the next time you are with this person. But to make sure that you guys know that this reading is yours, we're going to be checking the energy first. So if you see yourself in one side or both sides, then you've definitely found your reading. It's absolutely okay to see yourself and this person in both sides, because that's just evidence of mirroring. But if you don't see yourself in either side, there will be 3 parts to this part. So you might want to wait till then. But if you get to that point and you're like, yeah, this isn't my energy, then I would say this is not your pile. So let's go ahead and start by looking at person A. So for person A, we have the Hanged Man, and for person B, we have the Wheel of Fortune. So first of all, with the Hanged Man, we have Pisces energy. So this person could have Pisces energy, but they certainly don't have to. I always want to stress the placements, like, they're there for confirmation. They're not there to like take away from the reading. If the energy resonates, the energy resonates. It doesn't matter if your placements are called out or not. But also for the Wheel of Fortune, we do have all of the fixed signs. So Scorpio, Taurus, Aquarius, and Leo. So just starting off here, this is kind of an interesting juxtaposition, because the Wheel of Fortune always indicates movement, whereas the Hanged Man is kind of stagnant. So what I would say about this connection, like, I do have to just say, like, my heart has already just started racing like crazy. As soon as I started this reading, and like I can notice my hands, like they're not that shaky, but like they're getting a little like, yeah, like they're getting a little so I definitely think that there is some intense energies here. I'm sorry if I sound southern right now. I don't know why I like keep talking like this. I was watching The Waterboy earlier, maybe that's why. I don't know. My accent is very malleable to like whatever I'm watching, but anyway. I definitely think that spirit is not necessarily, when it comes to these 2 energies, I don't think that these are who these 2 people are like as a whole. I definitely think that spirit is showing who these 2 people are within this connection. So starting with the Hanged Man person, I definitely feel constraint, and I feel like uncertainty, but also unconditional surrender. Like, I definitely feel like the Hanged Man in this situation feels things very deeply, cares a lot about the Wheel of Fortune person, but for whatever reason, they seem to be stuck where they currently are at. That may be in their control, it may not be in their control, but it definitely seems like both people here have definitely undergone a lot of change. But with the Wheel of Fortune, it's been more movement, and it's like the Wheel of Fortune has kind of been on their own journey, whereas the Hanged Man may have been kind of staying in the same spot, but their journey was a lot more internal, less so external. Whereas I feel like the Wheel of Fortune person's journey has been a lot more external in this connection. So with the Wheel of Fortune person, I definitely think that they are either entering or already in a very good period of their life. I feel like one thing I do have to mention, like between these 2 cards, is I definitely think there is some sort of faded energy to this, in the sense that I think that these 2 people were always meant to meet each other, always meant to know each other, always meant to interact with one another. But there has been an energy here where like these 2 haven't been able to see eye to eye. And I think that's partially because the Hanged Man has been stuck and the Wheel of Fortune has been on the go. And I don't know if it's like a literal go, go, go type of thing, but I do think that the Wheel of Fortune has been on their own journey. They could have like their own business, or they could have their own, I just heard like startup, but it could also be like anything. I just feel like they're doing really well in life. And I feel like the Hanged Man person, they could be, honestly, how they're doing could be any sort of thing. What I do know is that the Hanged Man person, though, in their past has been a bit of a control freak. And I think that they are learning how to let go. They're learning how to surrender. I do feel like the Hanged Man person has had some sort of like spiritual awakening or reawakening, or like a deepening of their spirituality. I think that they are looking at life a lot differently than they once did. And I almost feel like their world has been turned upside down in a positive way, where the universe has kind of created circumstances for the Hanged Man person to look at this connection and look at their life in different ways than they had before. Whereas for the Wheel of Fortune person, I think that the universe has really been encouraging them to go out there and make their mark and have more confidence in who they are and like what they're doing. I also think that the Wheel of Fortune probably has a much better idea of who the Hanged Man person is than the Hanged Man person does of the Wheel of Fortune. And I don't know if that's like on a conscious level, but I do think that the Wheel of Fortune person may be naturally more intuitive, maybe naturally guided by spirit. They definitely have this like cyclical energy where all of the cycles in their life end up having a deeper spiritual purpose behind them, and every cycle they go through, it always brings them to a deeper state of awareness, a deeper state of gratitude, and a deeper state of understanding as to why they had to go through those cycles in the first place. And I definitely think that the Wheel of Fortune is like in a place where they are doing really, really, really well in life. And I think the Hanged Man person, like I said, like they could be doing any type of way in life, but I feel like they're just learning how to accept life for how it is. And like I just heard que sera, sera, like whatever will be, will be. And I think that the Hanged Man person is almost like waiting on the Wheel of Fortune person in some way. Like they may be waiting for the Wheel of Fortune, like that wheel to come back around. Because I do feel this stagnant energy with the Hanged Man, like they're not really going anywhere. And it's like the Wheel of Fortune person has been going around doing a bunch of things. And it's like, it seems like they're coming back around to like meet the Hanged Man, if that makes sense. And so it seems like the Wheel of Fortune's journey has been a lot more external, and the external changes that they've gone through have brought about internal reflection and internal growth. And I think that for the Hanged Man, their experience externally has been very similar, but it's the internal experiences, the ego deaths, the realizations of who they're becoming, what they want, what they don't want, like the things changing around them that they can't control, that has really helped them to surrender and embrace the idea that they don't have to be in control and that they can trust more. I definitely think this situation is a little bit confusing. Like, I definitely, like, I just keep hearing a long time coming. Like, this meeting, this next time you see this person, it seems like to be, like, a long time coming for a lot of you. I definitely think that the Wheel of Fortune person is very fortunate. And I think the Hanged Man person has been humbled in some sort of way. Like, they're realizing that they conflated things in ways that they weren't necessarily like, and like they were conflating things that they weren't seeing clearly. And I think that the Hanged Man person honestly doesn't have a good idea of the Wheel of Fortune person. Like, when I look at the animals in this card, you know, we have a snake, we have a cat, we have a dog. And so, like, I think the Hanged Man person definitely sees, like, loyalty in the Wheel of Fortune person. They see a lot of intuitive abilities, a lot of, like, slick energy where, like, nothing really gets past the Wheel of Fortune person. I do want to say the Hanged Man person is also very intelligent, but I do think that the Hanged Man's intelligence sometimes is hindered by their own assumptions that they already know what's going on, which I think is they've become a lot more open-minded, especially in the recent past. But with the snake here, I feel like the Hanged Man worries about being hurt by the Wheel of Fortune person, or like they don't know what is like the authentic Wheel of Fortune person. Like they can't get a good read on the Wheel of Fortune person. And I do think one thing to note is that the Hanged Man person part of the reason why they may be so like hesitant, like, because I get this hesitant vibe where it's like this Hanged Man person doesn't seem to be like going after the Wheel of Fortune. It's like they're sitting and waiting for the Wheel of Fortune to like slowly make their way around back. And I think that's partially because like they just don't know what they're getting with the Wheel of Fortune person. Whereas the Wheel of Fortune person has a better idea. But I do think that the Wheel of Fortune person may be confused by the lack of action or energy towards them. And I think that's a lot because the Hanged Man person probably doesn't like to get themselves involved with things if there's a chance that they could be hurt. I definitely feel like that kind of control energy, and because they can't get a good read on the Wheel of Fortune person all the time, it's like they don't know what version they're gonna get, and they don't know how sincere the Wheel of Fortune person is, because, you know, with this snake energy here, it's like they recognize the Wheel of Fortune's intelligence, and they recognize that that can be a blessing or that can be something scary, because, you know, I feel like the Hanged Man doesn't want to get hurt, and I feel like the Hanged Man has been hurt. I feel like the Hanged Man person really has been in a more passive energy in life. Like, they've just kind of been allowing life to happen because it kind of seems like they just don't have the energy anymore to try to control things around them. But that's kind of the energy the universe was trying to get them in, because before they were too stubborn, is what I'm hearing, to kind of see what the universe was trying to show them. It's like nature, like, it's almost like these trees like grabbed the Hanged Man themselves and like tied him up and hung him, so like that they would be forced to see things from a different perspective than their own. Whereas I feel like the Wheel of Fortune's kind of had their own chaos to deal with, and their own like ish to work on. And so as a result, I think that the Wheel of Fortune person has been like always wondering what's going on with the Hanged Man, but they haven't necessarily had like the time and energy. They may not even be in the same place. So they're just kind of like, they're also kind of in this waiting energy of like waiting for the right time. So let's go ahead and see what these two's energies are going to be like at this next meeting. It could be the first meeting, but I do feel like for a lot of you it's the next meeting, because there does seem to be established energy here. And I do feel some, pardon my French, but spiritual fuckery here, where neither one of these counterparts is like trying to be like shady or anything towards the other, but there may be unintentional like triggering or unintentional things that the universe is doing to teach each of them lessons, and it might make them more hesitant as a result to like face one another. Like, I feel like the Wheel of Fortune shows the part of them that they feel comfortable enough to show given the time and place, whereas the Hanged Man usually has their own, I just heard bravado, but has their own like kind of persona that they just have, and they're kind of learning to let go of that as much, because they're recognizing that's not as much of an authentic portrayal as them as they think it is, and they're recognizing that it doesn't feel as good to play a role than it does to just be their natural self. And I think they're realizing that like it's so much more freeing to just not care about what people think as much. And I feel like the Wheel of Fortune person has been in this place where like they're finally gaining the confidence to be themselves, and like I think through the blessings that the universe has been giving them, I think they're realizing like they're capable of so much more than they thought. And so this is definitely an energy where like I don't know what's going on between these two. I don't know if you're even talking to one another, but what I do know is that like this situation is coming around. Like there's a fated aspect of this connection where like the universe is not going to let this situation go on unaddressed forever, so to speak. So, okay, let's see what the Hanged Man's energy is going to be at this next meeting. So we have the Horse, and for the Wheel of Fortune, we have the Dolphin. So I just have to say, like, on both ends, this is some big dick energy. And this has nothing to do with actual appendages. We're talking about actual energy. These are heavy hitting energies, but really awesome energies to have. So starting with the Horse person, I definitely think that the lessons the universe is teaching them, they're learning how to take them in stride. I feel like the Hanged Man person is becoming so much more confident in who they are. Oh gosh, there's a Young Dolph song playing in my head right now. Rest in peace. Keep it young and trust nobody. Something, something, something. 1, 2, 1. I think it's cray cray. I definitely think this situation is cray cray, but I don't agree with the energy of that song at all. Like, I think it's projection, if anything. But anyway, I do think that the energy of this connection is kind of crazy. But I actually want to talk about the dolphin first, because I feel like the dolphin in this case, in this next meeting, is going to be so elated. I also think that they're also going to be revealing their emotions in a way that they haven't before. Like, if you notice, all of these animals are land animals and they're up in the air. So I definitely think that the Wheel of Fortune person, they haven't like really told the Hanged Man how they actually feel, what their truth is. But I think that the Wheel of Fortune person really, really loves being around the Hanged Man. I think they enjoy their company. I think that they felt aspects of the Hanged Man that maybe the Hanged Man wasn't even aware was there. But the Wheel of Fortune person has this sense of emotional intelligence that really can't be matched. And I want to show y'all what the book says about it, because it mentions the Wheel of Karma. So I thought it was really interesting that this person not only got the Wheel of Fortune, but then they also got the Wheel of Karma. So it says innately intelligent, healer, light, blessings. So the gifts of the dolphin are beyond what our human minds can grasp. Dolphin personalities are often drawn to the healing arts as they are sensitive to the subtle and enjoy working on the level of spirit. It's easy for dolphin types to underestimate the impact they make in the world. These creatures play such an important role in the Wheel of Karma that coming in contact with a dolphin type will change the entire course of your day, and thus your life. This card can also indicate a profound blessing is on the way. So I definitely think that this dolphin person has been on a journey of learning their own power, because I don't think that they only underestimated themselves. I think the people around them underestimated themselves, and I think that the Hanged Man person was included in that. Because I also think that the Hanged Man person, despite likely having intuitive abilities, their own ego and their own mentality blocked their intuitive abilities to see things deeper. Like, the dolphin has this energy that the human mind can't easily grasp. And so I think part of the reason why the universe has done so much to kind of like flip the man into the Hanged Man, has been because they've needed this new perspective in order to perceive and understand the Wheel of Fortune person in a more authentic way. Because I think what's really going on here is, like, the Hanged Man might be trying to put the Wheel of Fortune person into one, like, stereotype or one, like, type of person. And the dolphin is, like, so multidimensional. And so I think they're realizing, like, in this next meeting, that they never truly saw the Wheel of Fortune person accurately. And I think the dolphin person is just going to be so happy to be there, because I think that the Wheel of Fortune person knew on an intuitive level that the Hanged Man person played an important role in their life, and that had an important purpose. I think they always knew that, like, this situation would come back around, and they trusted that in spirit. Whereas I feel like the Hanged Man person probably had more, like, stressful circumstances in their life, and also, like I said, like, it feels like something was kind of tying them down or, like, keeping them stuck in the same sort of energy. And so it's like, while the Wheel of Fortune person had to use their internal drive to create outward change, the universe, for the Hanged Man, the universe had to create outward change in order to slow down the Hanged Man's drive to at least see it in a different way. But in this next meeting, this is really awesome energy because the horse is the most evolved, grounded energy in this deck. The dolphin is like the second to last energy in the deck. I think the only one after that is the whale. But like, the horse person is feeling confident in this meeting. They're feeling grounded. They're feeling free. And they're awakened intuitively. So what I think is really interesting, even though they still don't, I don't think they still fully see the Wheel of Fortune person. I think I'm just going to call them the horse and the dolphin because it's like so much less words. The horse person definitely, like, they are feeling safe. They're feeling grounded, and I think they're feeling motivated in this. Like, if there's been any difficulties in this connection, I definitely think that this horse person is like finally feeling like, yes, like, I may not fully understand the dolphin person, but they're happy to be around me. They don't hate me. Let's fucking go. Like, I'm so ready. I'm so in for whatever is next. Like, I think both parties here are just so excited to be around each other because maybe it's been some time since these two have seen each other. But I definitely think that there's a little bit of energy with the dolphin person where it's like, oh, I just knew this would happen. I didn't know, but I knew. Like, they're just gonna be so happy. Like, they have this really adorable, like, I'm just happy to be here energy. Because I think the dolphin person has always had a soft spot for the horse person. I think it's more so that the Hanged Man person was more held back and constrained, mainly out of fear. And I think that they were really afraid of losing their freedom for a long time. And I think they are learning how to recognize that true freedom isn't always like what they think it is. Like, they may have, like, I just heard hyper independence. So this Hanged Man person could be really, like, really committed to doing their own thing, like, not getting too involved with other people, like, maybe being pretty, like, non-committal, or just being withdrawn and removed, like, only showing people what they feel comfortable to, and not really diving too deeply. And so I think that the dolphin and the universe has given the horse person a little bit of a taste of what the dolphin's world is about. Because let's be real, the dolphin person is on a different plane of existence. And I don't mean that in the sense of like they're better or anything like that. It's just that they're attuned to different things than the Hanged Man person is. And so a lot of the dolphin's journey has been about bringing them down to earth. And a lot of the Hanged Man's journey has been bringing them up to spirit. And as a result, it's like the dolphin's abilities, not only have they come into their more intuitive, like, spiritual healing abilities, but also they're able to ground those into reality and use them for good and use them. And they're clearly being blessed by the universe for doing this. Whereas I feel like for the Hanged Man person, it's like they've always had this ambitious drive and this desire to achieve, but I don't think they've ever quite fully believed in themselves. Or they've had a lot, like, I just heard cerebral. So, like, I feel like they've had a lot of doubt, a lot of discouragement, a lot of uncertainty. And they may have gotten themselves, like, stuck in cycles for a little bit too long because they just had a hard time getting out of them. So I definitely think that the universe has had to do a lot of, like, the moving and the pushing for the Hanged Man person, whereas the dolphin has kind of done it on their own. But, like, make no mistake that both parties here have been on quite a journey. And I definitely think that the next time that they see each other, whichever person you are, you both are going to be really excited. You both are going to be really present. And I feel like you both are going to be seeing each other fully. Like, there's a bit of intensity here. Like, the horse person is coming in with a bit of intensity, whereas I feel like the dolphin person is like, hey, like, I'm just happy to be here. But, like, the dolphin is going to feel that intensity. And I think it's, like, honestly going to make them even happier because they're going to know that there was something, like, deeper all along. Like, there was a deeper truth here that they could feel intuitively, but they couldn't always see. It's like they're seeing it's so colorful over here, and so I feel like it's like they're seeing the physical manifestation of what they've always intuitively felt was the truth of this connection all along. And it's like they're finally seeing that evidence of it in the 3D, and it's like a very happy experience for them. And for the horse person, I think this is the first time that they're showing up in this connection confident and sure of themselves, and driven to face this connection and not run away from it in fear. So to finish off the energy check part, I want to look at what each counterpart is going through in their own lives, like the energy they're bringing into this meeting. So for the Hanged Man person, oh, nice. We have man, and this says gentleman, success, relationship. So this card confirms, well, I guess gives insight to where this person is at this next meeting. They're doing well too. And I think it's because they're doing well that they've been able to release a little bit of control. But they're clearly having their own success too. And they're showing up as somebody who's serious, somebody who's dependable, somebody who's reliable. And, you know, this is, I don't even know if like the Prince and Cinderella like has a name. I'm pretty sure they just call him Prince Charming, but they're literally like showing up as like a prince or princess charming. Like they're showing up as somebody who's ready to be like dependable, serious, and do the work that's involved. If I'm gonna be honest, I don't think that this is a casual or platonic connection. It could be, but I'm getting a lot of like intense like energy. So I don't know if it's platonic. It might be platonic right now, but I don't think that's the goal of the energy. Now for the dolphin person, oh shit, we have Ryder. So yeah, new success travel. So we have success mirroring here. So both counterparts are not only doing well, and these are Lenormand cards, but I just want to say, like, I'm not really reading them as Lenormand cards. Like, I'm thinking of the Ace of Cups and the Nine of Cups with the Nine of Hearts and the Ace of Hearts. So I think both parties are coming in with, like, very optimistic energies. And when it comes to the dolphin person, like, I feel like they just want to be, like, all over the horse person. Like, I'm not, like, this isn't an 18+ reading, but, like, I do think that they have been, like, I'm hearing in my head, save a horse, ride a cowboy. That's not gonna be for all of you. But I definitely think that, like, this next meeting, like, this Wheel of Fortune person is coming back to, like, tell the Hanged Man person, like, what they've been doing on their journeys and, like, what's going on with them, and, like, spilling the tea, and, like, I do think that the Wheel of Fortune person is coming to the place that the Hanged Man person is in, especially because they have so much, like, wheel energy and, like, momentum. And I definitely think that they've been on a long journey. They're, like, weary. They're ready to rest. And I think that the Hanged Man is getting into this energy where, like, they're really ready to receive that. I think that they've had plenty of experiences with other people and just with themselves to where now they're realizing, like, it's almost like they've had to experience a bunch of different energies to realize what isn't for them. But in that process, it's like they're figuring out what they actually do want. They're understanding what is actually important to them. And I feel like both parties here are coming back together in a way that's very mature, very enlightened, and very, like, weirdly calm, but joyful nonetheless. Like good energies between the two of you. Like, both people here are, like, doing well in their own personal lives. They're feeling confident in who they are. They're understanding themselves. Like, the Hanged Man is letting go of control. The Wheel of Fortune is believing in themselves more. They're standing in their power more. They're learning how to embrace their sensitivity and their compassion more. And, like, you know, I think the Wheel of Fortune dolphin person has gone off and done a lot of the things that they needed to achieve on their own. And I think that the Hanged Man person has been in this role of like kind of maturing and growing. And like I'm hearing the song from Milan, like I'll make a man out of you. And so I definitely think that like this Hanged Man has been going from the process of like, you know, has gone through the process of maturing. And so it's like both people here are in very good energies the next time they meet. So let's go ahead and look at the energy that you both will be sharing between the two of you in this next meeting. And we have joy. Like, oh my gosh, like literally this is like the dolphin should be popping out of here right now. The energy of joy activates our feelings of happiness and well-being and supports a high supports a high vibrational frequency in our being. So, oh my gosh, and we have mirroring 28s too. That's really interesting. So, yeah, good vibes. And actually 28 reduces to, in numerology, not regular math. We don't do regular math on this channel. That would reduce to 10, which reduces to 1, and we do have a 1 here. So it's like you guys are really on the same page. And like even though there's differences between the two of you, it's coming together in a very synergetic way. And like, yeah, I think you both are just so happy to see one another, like so happy to be around one another. And like even if there's like things to work through, things that you need to talk about, like none of that really matters this next meeting. Like you both are just happy to be around each other again, happy to be in each other's presence, happy that the winds of fate have brought you back together or brought you together in general. There's just a true like joyous energy of just being in one another's presence, and it's like that simple. So let's go ahead and look at what the overall energy of this next meeting between the two of you is going to be. And we have mushroom dimension. Everything is connected. Connection, magic, openness. So I definitely think that you both are going to be talking up, like there's going to be an element of like catching up is what I feel like. Even if you haven't been away from this person for very long, but it's like this next meeting is really going to hammer home that there's some sort of unseen force that has been responsible for a lot of both of your growth, a lot of your progress as individuals. And with all of like the butterflies here, like I definitely think that there's a lot of transformation. You could have like done psychedelics with this person, or you could do psychedelics with this person the next time you're with them. No judgment there. But I think you're realizing that like everything in this connection has had its purpose. I feel like there will be a serendipitous, like magical energy to this connection where, to this next meeting. I mean, it could be to the connection in general, but like to this meeting where you're just like, you know that meme of the cockroach that's like laying on its bed, like laying on a bed, and it just says like, oh hell yes, oh fuck yes. Like that's kind of the energy of this meeting, but like it's a horse and a dolphin, not like a cockroach. You know what I mean? Like it's just good, happy energy. And I think that you both are like being really open and honest with one another. I think you both are being really transparent. You're truly feeling one another. You're feeling the connection, and you're feeling ready to be like open and honest with each other. So this could be a newer connection, but I definitely think that if it is, like you have been on your own personal journeys before that. But I feel like for a lot of you, you may have known this person for a while, and there could be like, you know, I don't even want to say like a separation, but like could be that, or just like, you know, right person, wrong time kind of energy. And it's like, and it feels like it's finally like the right time. Like the wheel of karma, the wheel of fortune, like it's all coming back together, and it's like, it's aligning. It's aligning is the best way to put it. So I'm going to go ahead and get into the tarot now, and we are going to look at different aspects of this connection. I am using the Weird Cat Tarot for you guys, and I think it's pretty fitting because you guys seem like some cool cats, a little bit of kooky cats, and I think you both have your own weirdness that you both like appreciate and enjoy about one another. But I did also want to mention while I'm shuffling that if this reading resonates, that there will be an extended, and in the extended we are going to be looking at how this person, so whoever you're asking about, is going to be thinking and feeling about the connection after this meeting, and then we'll see the potential of where this connection is headed after this meeting, and then we'll get tons more advice and channel messages from Spirit. Okay, we'll give her one more shuffle. These cards kind of hurt to shuffle, but it's fine. Okay. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna ask is when, where, how this meeting will happen. I'm kind of leaving this part up to Spirit, so like whatever information they want to give, I'll allow. Yeah, just leaving it kind of open. So Spirit, what can you tell pile 4 about this next meeting? Okay, so we have the Fool. So I definitely think that there's like a natural element to this, but I do think somebody could be reaching out to the other, or like it's like somebody may be instigating, but the energy's leading to this new beginning anyway. It's like, it's almost like Spirit's saying like it doesn't matter because you're having a fresh beginning with this person. And like, I feel like the Fool energy really matches with this joyful energy. It's like this meeting will happen when there's a fresh start of some kind. And I think it's going to be in the Wheel of Fortune person's life, because the Hanged Man person does kind of seem to be like chilling. No, I'm just hearing the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air song in my head. But they're chilling, relaxing, all cool, you know, doing their thing. And I think the Wheel of Fortune person, you know, I feel like they're traveling, or maybe they're done traveling for some of you. And I think that they are, they could be moving or something like that. But I literally think that like there's just going to be this energy of this new connection. And yeah, it's going to happen naturally. I don't even know if like, it could happen out of nowhere, because the Fool is connected to Uranus energy, the butt planet. There's also so many like sexual like innuendos in this pile, like with the bee, like I was thinking like the birds and the bees. I'm just like, oh my gosh, like this is a lot. But I don't think that like that is going to occur unless that's consensual and you both want it. I feel like, you know, the Hanged Man person is showing up really respectful, and like the dolphin person is like, you know, just happy to be there. I don't think that they're gonna be like saucy city or anything like that. But I definitely think that in terms of this meeting, I think it's gonna happen when a fresh beginning has happened in either both of their lives or the Wheel of Fortune's life. And I think that culminating energy of this fresh start is going to naturally create this next meeting, but it is quite possible that one or the other will have to instigate. And I think you'll know. And if not, I think it will happen naturally. Like Spirit will make it happen. Like they'll either put it in the person's mind, like one of your minds, to like reach out or something like that. Like I even see like sliding up on a story or something like that. Like even something as simple as that. But I think it's going to be different for all of you. But it's definitely coming after the end of a difficult cycle and a new fresh beginning where you both are feeling lighter and ready for something new. So, Spirit, what is the positive energy surrounding this meeting? Ooh, okay, we have the Queen of Pentacles. So I definitely think that both parties here, because of this like success energy, both parties are feeling more secure and confident in themselves than they have in the past. Like I don't think this Queen of Pentacles energy is attributed to one or the other. I think it's both, because like, first of all, Earth is more connected to this Hanged Man person, but we have success in both of these Lenormand cards. So I definitely think that because both parties have been, you know, achieving a lot in their own lives, growing, changing, improving, they've really blossomed. They've really just become these really awesome versions of themselves. Like with these butterflies here, like I really feel like both parties here have been transforming into more authentic versions of themselves. And like, I think that they're finding joy in their own respective lives, and they're really feeling really comfortable and secure and safe and held in their own ways on their own. And so I think that that is supporting the energy of this connection. Oh my gosh, I feel like so much like swirling energy in my sacral chakra and my solar plexus chakra. But then it's like moving up to my heart chakra. So it's like there's a lot of intense energy here. But I feel like because you both have this grounded sense of security now, like you both feel more secure in who you are, you know what you want, you know what you're about. And I feel like you both are being like realistic and just being open to what may be. That's allowing for you both to just kind of show up authentically and not be too worried or in your head. It's like you both are going to be, during this next meeting, you both are going to be there, like you're going to be present, you're going to be like, you know, just taking everything in, just happy to be there. Like it's just such a good energy. Like I can't put it into words very well. But I think that there are a lot of aspects of this connection that are hard to put into words. And so, you know, I keep hearing a long time coming again. So I definitely think that maybe these two have had a lot of feelings to work through, and needed a lot of time to find the words to say what they've wanted and to understand what they've needed. But like, yeah, this is a really, really, really good energy. So I want to see now what you, pile 4, should be aware of when this meeting happens. We have the High Priestess. Okay. So I just heard spoopy in my head, and I think that's because there's going to be a lot of synchronicities leading up to this connection, or a lot of synchronicities during this connection. Like, I think that you both are going to be connecting intuitively on a level like you never have before. But also, I think there is a need to be aware that you need to be very upfront with what you want to say, because it is very easy to conceal what you're actually feeling or experiencing. With the High Priestess here, I also think it's important to have what you want to tell this person and like have your feelings kind of sorted out before this meeting happens, because it is quite possible that with the intensity of the energy that you may get kind of, and maybe this person too, you may get kind of like choked up, or like, not like, well, I guess choked up in an emotional way possibly, but I think it's more so like you may freeze and be afraid to say what you need to say. And I think that what you need to be aware of is like your intuition hasn't led you astray so far, so why doubt it now? Have the confidence to speak your truth and trust your intuition. But I definitely think that there's like spooky energy, in the sense that like you're really seeing how like intuitively connected you and this person are. Like it's gonna be like low-key kind of creepy and kind of intense. Like any doubt I think that you had about this connection being just like all in your head, or you being crazy, is definitely something that like after this meeting or during this meeting you're gonna realize like, damn, I should have trusted myself like 10 times harder. I should have listened to myself way more. And I also think too, like, I think you're being encouraged to not read into things and to ask questions instead. Because especially if you're this dolphin person and you're incredibly, incredibly intuitive, which, I mean, I think the horse person is intuitive as well, but I mean, like, the dolphin's just on a whole other freaking level. And so I think that in the dolphin's case, like, you may intuitively feel things and then not feel the need to like ask questions or ask certain things, and then after this meeting happens you might be like, shit, what if I was off about that? Or like you might question yourself. So I think Spirit is really encouraging you to not assume things, to not just only go off of your intuition. Don't be afraid to ask questions, because especially if you're the dolphin person, well, it really doesn't matter which person you are, like you're going to be in an energy where you're not feeling like you can't be honest. So like you have the opportunity to be honest. Don't be afraid to say that, and don't be afraid to be like speak your truth to this person. I also think that you can trust your intuition in terms of like acting. Like you can trust yourself to make the right decisions. You can trust yourself to not be a weirdo. That's something I heard. I don't think you're a weirdo. I mean, even though we are using the Weird Cat Tarot, but like weirdos are cool. I'm a weirdo. I like weirdos. So, you're a weirdo in a positive way, not a negative way. Okay. So, Spirit, are there any factors outside of pile 4's control that they should be aware of? Okay. We have the King of Cups. So I think the factor outside of both of your control, which I think is so interesting, because we have earth and water, and in these signs we have earth and water. So I think the factor outside of both of your control is like your feelings. I think that you both have been holding back on your feelings. And I think that maybe you both have been trying to suppress them and pretend like they're not there. And I feel like the universe is like, I don't know why Randy Jackson just came in my head, but like, nah, dog, you gotta speak your truth. You gotta be honest about how you feel. I don't think Randy Jackson has ever said that, but like you gotta stop telling your emotions that it's a no from you, dog. Like, it's a yes from you, dog. Like, you're allowed to be honest about your feelings. Like, I think maybe both of you are like uncomfortable about speaking your truth in a lot of ways, or speaking the truth of your feelings. And I think the factor outside of your control is that like there's a lot of deep emotion here, and I think that you both are afraid to express it. And so I think Spirit is saying not to feel ashamed for that, and to recognize that like you can't help how you feel, and especially if this situation has been through a lot, or just there's been a lot of time that has passed here and the feelings haven't changed, we've only gotten deeper. I think there's a need to accept that and recognize that you're not really gaining anything. Neither you or this person are gaining anything from keeping these feelings hidden in a secret forever. Like, I almost feel like you both are like kind of tired. Like, you're just like, oh, I just want to be honest because I'm tired of feeling these feelings alone. Like, I'm thinking of the King of Cups in the Everyday Witch Tarot, and that deck, the King of Cups is like on his own island with like a telescope, and it's like, I feel like you both have like had these deep feelings for one another, but you've been like watching each other from afar out of fear of like your own feelings for one another, out of fear of what the other will think, out of fear of what might happen. So I definitely think that Spirit is really just encouraging you to honor and trust your feelings, and recognize that like the other person doesn't necessarily need to feel the same way to be validated, but like know that like your emotions are not there to like torture you or lie to you. Like, your emotions are valid and you're allowed to speak on them, and it's okay. So I want to see what the potential outcome of this meeting is going to be. Do know that like the outcome might change, like, because with things in the future, that's how it is. But we'll just go ahead and see. Spirit, what is the, okay. Wow, we have the Six of Pentacles. And on the back of the deck, we have the Wheel of Fortune. Yep. Okay, so the outcome of this meeting is actually really, really good. And I think the Wheel of Fortune is just confirming that. Like, this was meant to happen. This is gonna happen. This is how it's gonna be. And I think that, like, I mean, okay. Oh, and I just cut the deck and we have the Ten of Pentacles. So I'm hearing High School Musical in my head, which, like, to be fair, I'm not into it that much. Like, I never was really into it, but because I was, you know, a child during 2005 and 2006, like, those movies were unavoidable. I don't even know why I'm defending myself. Even if I did like High School Musical, like, who fucking cares? Like, I'm allowed to like whatever I want. But I don't even like it. Okay. I feel like I'm overthinking a lot in this reading, and I haven't felt that way in the last 3 piles. So I definitely know that this is a you thing, and a you and your person thing, that I'm like more susceptible to that energy. But here's what I really love. I definitely feel like this big cat is like kind of like Spirit, and I kind of see you and your person in this energy. It's like you finally have the maturity to have an equal give and take. And I think that that's what's happening now. Like, you're getting the opportunity to like give to one another and interact with one another, and it's like opening up the opportunity for an equal give and take here. And it's like it's almost like a bountiful harvest that the universe is giving to both of you. And instead of one of you like taking all the strawberries for yourself, you're like sharing the strawberries, and you're like coming to an agreement of like, what you want to do next. Like, I definitely feel like whatever happens next, like, you both will be very satisfied with, you both will be very happy with. I do think that there is an element of like letting this situation take its course. Like, you may take things really slowly, or you may like I'm hearing slow and steady wins the race. Yeah, I mean, with the Emperor here, like, cutting the deck, I definitely think that, like, you both will be feeling secure, and I do think that one person will likely take more control. I'm sorry, I keep cutting the deck, but I just did again, and we have the Sun. So, like, I feel like Spirit's saying not to worry too much about it. The outcome of this meeting is going to be, you're both going to be very happy, very satisfied with how this meeting goes, and I think you both are going to agree that you want to invest more time and energy into one another, that you want an equal exchange, and I think you're going to come up with something that you both are very happy with. And I think that you're finally in this place because you've come to this energy of feeling abundant, feeling safe in yourself. It's like you both are understanding abundance in the sense that, like, you have enough for yourself. You're both secure in who you are. You have enough to give. And, like, I think you both are going to be in the process of making room for one another and seeing how one another how you fit in each other's lives. And, like, what I love too is that both of these cats have, like, a third eye. And so I definitely think that, like, you're going to realize, like, the universe was watching you this entire time. And not only that, like, I think you both are just going to be really happy with where this is headed. I think you both are going to be in mutual agreement. And I think that I think the biggest obstacle, I almost wanted to call it a roadblock, but it's not a roadblock. It's just an obstacle. It's literally just, like, being honest about your feelings. Because I think both parties here may be afraid to be fully transparent about what's going on, because they just, like, may be afraid of, being rejected or things like that. But I think the energy of this connection will be pretty clear, how you both are feeling. Yeah, man, there's some sexual tension here, isn't there? I definitely think, though, that, like, you may be giving each other gifts, or, like, they might be giving you a gift or something like that. But I feel like the outcome of this is you'll both be very satisfied, and you both will feel like you got what you wanted out of this meeting. And I think moving forward, it's like, as long as communication is honest and open, and you're, like, being transparent with one another, like, I think this is just going to continue to move forward in a solid way. But we will look at that in the extended. But to finish off the free reading, I am going to finish off with some advice for you, my beautiful pile 4. So to start, we have meditate. Meditation is powerful and can help you see clearly. Remain calm and become at peace with yourself and what you desire. So, like, if you've been really desiring this connection, or really desiring, like, a meeting or a reunion here, and you've been, like, worrying about it and, like, losing faith or things like that, I think Spirit's really asking you to, like, go within and really, like, really reconnect with your truth, because you don't need anyone to validate your truth. But I also feel like this extends to far more than just this connection. I think it's quite possible that you could get caught up in energies, especially if you're the dolphin person, because it's like when you're literally operating all the time. I will say, from personal experience, I can relate to the dolphin. If you're the dolphin, comment down below. I feel you, boo. It's definitely, like, being in that energy all the time can be hard, because sometimes you just get swept away in certain emotions, energies, or experiences, and you may not necessarily know why, and then you may take them on as your own when in actuality they're not. I definitely think that, like, that might affect the Hanged Man person if you're the Hanged Man person, but I feel like for the Hanged Man person, it's more so, like, the Hanged Man person probably gets too focused and, like, too zoomed in on, like, certain aspects of the physical realm. And so for the Hanged Man, meditation is more about expanding their mind, and for the Wheel of Fortune person, meditation is more about clearing their mind, reconnecting with what is their truth, and allowing their mind to kind of chill out. So we also have blame. I accept responsibility for my well-being. So I definitely think that maybe in the past you two were playing the blame game, or like projecting like what you were upset about on the other, or blaming yourself for a lot of things that maybe were outside of your control in the first place. But I definitely think Spirit is saying continue to focus on yourself, continue to focus on your own well-being, and continue to, you know, just keep yourself accountable, do what you need to do. And I think that that will help this outcome be very healthy and happy. I feel like it looks just like a sun. And I love this too, because like, you know, rose quartz is a stone of unconditional love, for especially unconditional love for self, and it's just like a happy little sun. Like, I definitely think the sun is coming out in this connection. Yeah. So what else? We have take a walk. So I definitely think Spirit is encouraging you. So like, if you're not the type of person that likes to, you know, just straight up like meditate, I think that like going on walks could be a great form of meditation. You can also do meditation that's like physically active. Like, you can dance to music, you can just listen to music. Sometimes I actually like divinate with my playlists. Like, I'll start meditating, and then I'll kind of communicate with Spirit like through my playlist. Like, I'll see what they're saying to me through the songs that come up and things like that. It's kind of cool. It's like really fun too. But I definitely think Spirit is just encouraging you to like touch grass a little bit, because maybe you get a little bit lost in the spirit sauce, or you just like get too caught up in worries or what ifs, or oh God, what's gonna happen. So I definitely think like taking a walk to clear your head could be really, really, really helpful. We also have surrender outdated beliefs about yourself. Let go of limiting ideas about yourself that originate from the past. Then you can own your power and soar in your life. Yeah, especially if like there have been difficulties in this connection in the past. Neither person here, like if there is past energy here, neither of you are the same person. So you both have changed. Like, you both are far more successful and mature. Like, we don't have any pages here. We don't have any like immature energies here. Like, we have a king and a queen. Like, both parties here have definitely matured. And I think that you both may be holding yourself to things that you did in your past. Like, you may not be fully forgiving yourself for things that you didn't know, or fully allowing yourself to kind of own this new person that you are, like, and allow yourself to own who you're becoming. Because I definitely think that like in order for this connection to fully like be authentic, you both have to be willing to, even if you know this person and have known them for a while, you have to be willing to like meet them all over again. Like, I'm thinking of the movie Monte Carlo. If you have YouTube Premium, it's free on YouTube right now. And I will say, just gonna put this out there, like, I was a YouTuber. I was literally already a YouTuber, and like I didn't get YouTube Premium for the longest time, and like I was creating, like, I was just making my life harder. Like, if you don't like ads, get fucking YouTube Premium. I'm telling you, it's worth the money. Like, not having ads on YouTube has made my life a million times better. Like, that's what I will say. I'm very grateful for everybody who does watch my ads, because that it supports me, and I'm really grateful for that. But like, if you have YouTube Premium, you literally just support me by watching me. So if you don't want to deal with ads, and you in general and shit, like, get YouTube Premium. It's the shit. And I use YouTube more than like any like TV platform, so like for me it's worth it. But yeah, I think Spirit is really asking you to open up to the idea that you're different, and that you've changed, and you're not the same person. And we have, it's safe to slow down, relax, and let go. Like, and I totally agree with this, because the universe is literally saying like, oh my gosh, like, look at this. Like, look at how similar these two cards are. Like, Spirit's literally saying like, this situation is going to happen naturally. Like, there's nothing to worry about. There's nothing to get caught up about. There's nothing to fear. This meeting might happen, by the way, on a night where there's a crescent moon. May not, but like there's a lot of crescent moon energy. But I also think that Spirit is saying like, you don't have to be so worried about how this is going to happen, because I also think that this meeting is going to happen when you and this person are already cultivating a joyful state on your own. You're not bogged down by pressure. You're not bogged down by worry. You both are really happy. You both are really, you're being present and aware of what's going on in your life. And like, honestly, the vibes are just good. And I think Spirit is saying like, you don't need to worry about this. Like, this is going to happen naturally. And I think you're going to be really happy with how it turns out. I think the only thing you're missing is a little more trust and faith in Spirit. And once you have that, man, you're good to go. So pile 4, I am going to move this over to the extended now. So if you're leaving me here, thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for watching my ads. As I just said, that is the simplest and easiest way to support me. But if you'd like to support me in other ways, like I said, you can check out the extended. You can like this video, you can comment down below, let me know how it resonates. You can subscribe if you haven't already. You can click that little bell notification to be notified whenever I upload a new reading. I also have merch linked down below, and I also have my social medias linked down below, though do be aware there are like 7 trillion scammers pretending to be me on Instagram right now. So just so you know, I am not offering personal readings, and I will never DM you asking if you want a personal reading. One of my biggest like pet peeves about them is they say really predatory shit when they slide into people's DMs pretending to be me. They'll say stuff like, I felt called to read for you or something like that, and like I felt drawn to your energy. It's just like predatory bullshit. It pisses me off. I mean, I can't control it, but like they're just really disgusting. So be careful. And I'm sorry that you have to deal with that. But anyway, that's all I have for you guys. So I really hope you all have a wonderful day or night whenever it is that you're watching this video. I hope that this brought you clarity, and I hope that you're feeling good. I hope you all have a wonderful day or night whenever it is that you're watching this, and I hope you'll come back and see me again soon. Bye!